including those that were just recently exposed on X. In case you hadn't heard this story, Elon on X introduced location services to some of his accounts. And what they found is some of the large are offshore. They aren't even here. They're fake. Just like everything else in this particular movement, the fake news that is MAGA. We'll get into that today. I do want to address. I didn't get a chance last week. By the way, somebody asked. Our shows went great. It was bittersweet, an emotional night for all of us, but it went fantastic. Thank you all for your support during that, because I was exhausted on Friday and I needed to sleep. Education reform, as a progressive, the things that I want. When you see, for those of you who've ever been involved in the theater or the theater community, it is one of the most accepting, accommodating, kind, caring, nurturing environments you'll ever see. People from all over, but they all come together. In fact, the athletic director, I cast the athletic director in one particular part. If you know Mean Girls, he was cast as Coach Carr. And I have never had anything to do with the theater. I've never been involved in it. I had no idea how much work went into it. I had no idea how. For those of you who are in a community that doesn't support the arts, please remind your high schools and education, and in particular humanities-based programs. It was amazing to watch, and I'm so grateful I had that opportunity. It was, like I said, thank you all for that. All right. Musical arts, yes. Theater arts, exactly. All of it. Music programs, the whole 9 yards. The video released by select members of the Senate and the House, veterans who served our country honorably and admirably, reset, and with all the information that's come from the mouth of our president and others. And we're going to talk about it because I think there's a few things that we really center. Everybody's talking about it, including our president, who can't stop talking about it. You know, again, because MAGA is fake, the claims that the political violence and rhetoric, the penalty for sedition, which is unaliving, to the things that these members of the House and Senate had said. So here's the video. We'll play it and then we'll talk about it.
Delusio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Christy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former
Intelligence officer.
former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
The Army or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
and people need you. We need you to stand up for our laws,
Our Constitution and who we are as Americans. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship. I'm Senator Alyssa Slack.
So you heard what they said. There's no debating about what they said. Our president took that as seditious behavior. So let's talk about the rules of engagement, so to speak, as it relates to this. I've never served, and I am not
doing anything other than just discussing what the language in the law reads and what the claim was. You heard very clearly that those members, those veterans who are serving in the Senate and in the House said, you must disobey an unlawful order. Now, the president has since called them traitors, basically. I would challenge that to say the president is the one who's the traitor. Because from his perspective, the expectation is that if I give you an order, you obey it no matter what. The Constitution is very, very clear that you are supposed to disobey an unlawful order. Plain and simple. So what the president is stating is that he's calling these people traitors because they are reminding members of the military what their oath was. That you are to obey a lawful order, but to disobey an unlawful order. And the president is basically saying that members of active duty must obey my orders no matter what. That would be sedition, in my opinion. Okay? So where the right wing is blown up is saying there was nothing specific. That they didn't allude to anything. They didn't say that there was, it will give us an example of an illegal order. Well, my memory was jogged over the weekend about some things that had happened not only relatively recently, but also in the past. I'm going to first start with Alyssa Slotkin, okay? Alyssa Slotkin, one of the senators mentioned, and by the way, some of these senators have had, boom, boom threats on their houses. Their personal security has been increased. This is what happens. Again, the right, of course, the right is the nonviolent right because, again, MAGA's fake news. This was a testimony. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with Mark Esper, okay? Mark Esper was acting SecDef under Trump in the first administration. You all remember the summer of 2020 and the protests regarding BLM protests, and specifically in response to George Floyd's passing and all the other horrible crimes committed by law enforcement against Black and brown people. So Mark Esper was interviewed on 60 Minutes because there was that famous moment in Lafayette Square in 2020. Lafayette Square is right outside the White House, in case you've never been to DC. And how there was a crowd gathered. So I'm going to play this interview. It's only 2 minutes long, and then we're going to close this particular section of the show today with what Alyssa Slotkin during her interviewing with Pete Hegseth, because that's what this entire thing is about, right? The right wants to claim that Donald Trump has never given an unlawful order. We don't know that, obviously, but we know things that he has said in the past and examples of things that would be considered an unlawful order. Before I play that, I'm just going to read to you what the law says. So, President Trump accused a half dozen Democratic lawmakers of sedition for advising members of the military that they do not have to follow illegal orders. But legal experts told Newsweek that would constitute sedition. Exactly my point. Trump wrote in a post to Truth Social on Thursday that those lawmakers engaged in all caps, of course, seditious behavior, punishable by death, he wrote. This is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors, lock them up, ? President DJT. The remarks come at a time marked by heightened political violence, including the unaliving of Democratic lawmaker Melissa Hortman and piece of shit Charlie Kirk. The remarks drew swift rebuke from critics who accused the president of stoking violence against Democrats. I don't know how anybody can be objective and not claim that this is stoking violence, because it is. Trump's remarks were directed to a video released by Michigan Senator Alyssa Slotkin, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Pennsylvania Rep. Chris DeLuzio, and Chrissy Houlihan, New Hampshire Rep. Maggie Goodlander, all of whom have military or intelligence backgrounds. In the video, the Democrats urged service members to defy illegal orders, which again is their duty. It comes after some critics have questioned the legality of strikes on alleged drug smuggling vessels in the Caribbean and Pacific Ocean, as well as operations in the U.S. over immigration. An unlawful order. Has anybody seen any justification for those ships in the Caribbean being attacked? I haven't. We've been told it's a bunch of things, but there's no evidence. Those would be unlawful orders, in my opinion. I'll be curious if anybody in the military would agree. If anybody wants to come up and talk about it. I've not seen any evidence. Not any. Would that be considered an unlawful order? You could argue. Where's the evidence? Not seen any. In the video, Democrats urged service members to defy illegal orders. It comes after some critics have questioned the legality of strikes on alleged drug smuggling vessels in the Caribbean, Pacific Ocean, as well as operations in the U.S. over immigration. Violating people's due process rights, arresting American citizens. Things like that. Quote, this administration is pitting our uniformed military and intelligence community professionals against American citizens, they say in the video. I just played that for you guys. They continued, like us, you all swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders. You must refuse illegal orders. No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution. And this is the weird part to me, is how MAGA is coming to the defense of this. This is what happens when you live in a cult. When you are, even the people who are hardcore MAGA who took the same oath, they understand. You're taught. I've been talking to some friends in the military over the weekend. They just beat this into you, like figuratively and literally, of what the rules are. You must refuse an illegal order or an unlawful order. I don't want to get the language wrong, so we'll just focus on what they said. They said unlawful. So it brings us to some interesting parallels of things that we've seen in the past, right? So the Uniform Code of Military Justice requires the military to obey lawful orders. Quote, any person to obey lawful orders, okay? Any person subject to this chapter who willfully disobeys a lawful command of that person's superior commissioned officer shall be punished, 1, if the offense is committed in time of war by unaliving or such other punishment as a court-martial may direct, and 2, if the offense is committed at any other time by such punishment other than death as a court-martial may direct, law states. The rules of court-martial states that an order is lawful, quote, unless it is contrary to the Constitution, the laws of the U.S., or lawful superior orders, or some other reason is beyond the authority of the official issuing it. This means that illegal or unlawful orders must not be followed. That's it. Must not be followed. The language is very, very clear. This means that illegal or unlawful orders must not be followed. Period. However, there's some gray area in defining what exactly would constitute an illegal order. William C. Banks, a professor of law at Syracuse University, told Newsweek, quote, debate occurs around that question all the time. It's not cut and dry. In other words, if they have doubt about the lawfulness of the orders, they should seek the advice of lawyers instead inside their agency, whether it's the Army or the Navy or whatever it happens to be, all the way up the chain. If they get advice that it's unlawful, they don't have to obey it. Okay. The military's highest obligation is to the United States Constitution. Michael McAuliffe, a former federal prosecutor and former elected state attorney, told Newsweek, the obligation to refuse to obey an illegal order is found in the UCMJ. The military has legal advisors who, in theory, are available to each commanding officer when the issue of the legality of an order is asserted or needs resolution. Ultimately, a military judge may determine whether an order is legal or not. That seems pretty clear to me. Like, it seems pretty clear. You are obligated under if an order is lawful, you're duty bound to obey it. If an order is determined to be illegal or unlawful, it's not about whether you agree or disagree. It's about whether it's lawful or unlawful. You might disagree with an order, but if it follows the law and fits within the parameters of what the Constitution says, then you are obligated and duty bound to follow it. If it doesn't, like you are duty bound to not obey it. So let's continue some more on this. Hold on. Well, the Democratic, let's see, how the U.S. laws defines sedition. The law defines sedition as an attempt to overthrow the government. Quote, if two or more persons in any state or territory or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States conspire to overthrow, put down, or to destroy by force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof, or by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property of the United States, contrary to the authority thereof, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. The law on sedition reads, sedition involves inciting insurrection against lawful authority. Daniel Ehrman, professor of law at Northeastern University, told Newsweek. As the members noted in their video, they are not calling for insurrection. Instead, they are reminding members of the armed services that they need not follow illegal orders. It might have been helpful for the members to have spelled out a few examples of illegal orders in their video, he said. Fair. Trump describing their video as seditious is transparently inaccurate and destructive. While the Democratic lawmakers' video may possess an element of political statement in its presentation, which is certainly true, the video nonetheless is both accurate and relevant given the current military operations to summarily unalive suspected drug smugglers on the high seas. So a couple of quotes, one in particular from Bitch Boy. Quote, I know the Department of Justice and the Pentagon are looking into the legality of all that, but what I can address is what everybody knows. That was wildly inappropriate. It is very dangerous. You have leading members of Congress telling troops to disobey orders. I think that's unprecedented in American history. That's the end of the quote. Now, if Bitch Boy had said, and the president should not be using words like sedition and death in a tweet. But no, he couldn't do that now, could he? Of course not. Okay. All right, so there's that. I think we have a pretty good breakdown of what, first of all, the sound from the people who made the video, clearly stating that you are obligated to not obey an unlawful order. The question is, what would be considered unlawful? Right? What would be considered unlawful? What's this guy want? Okay, he left. Anyway, clearly I eat too much soy. Soy's good for your prostate. You want to keep shit healthy. You know, as you get older, you want shit to work, so you should have some. Oh, okay. You disobeyed a direct order when you were in the Marine Corps. You're crying awful much in the chat this morning. Did you not get enough rest? Yeah, actually, soy is very patriotic. Support your farmers. Another fake news MAGA traitor. Anyway, so that's sort of the breakdown from the legal breakdown. So what I want to do now is I want to talk about things that have been said in the past. And we'll try them again. Hold on.
Are you going to have a discussion, or are you going to dim out?
Don't be an asshole. Would you like to have a conversation?
You booted me before I could speak. What do you mean?
I wish we had a machine.
Because of all your nonsense in the chat. If you'd like to have an adult conversation, maybe you're the one MAGA who actually can. Can you have a conversation or no? Hello? You can't time out of the app, Nick. 3, 2, 1. Good day. Okay. So then that got me thinking about a couple of examples of things that have happened previously. Like I said, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, right? So this was a famous interview that Mark Esper had done. This was dated May 9th of 2022. He appeared on 60 Minutes. This is the interview. He's talking about the events at Lafayette Square.
No justice, no peace.
During the late spring of 2020, it was not a foreign crisis, but the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis that Esper calls a turning point in his time as Secretary of Defense. On the night of May 31st in Washington, protests for racial justice were marred by rioters who set parts of Washington ablaze, and Esper says enraged President Trump. At a meeting the next morning, Esper told us the commander-in-chief was on the verge of ordering 10,000 active duty troops into the streets of the Capitol.
What was the most disturbing thing that the president said during that meeting on June 1st?
The president is ranting at the room. He's using a lot of, foul language. You all are effing losers, right? And then he says it to the vice president, Mike Pence. He's using the same language, and he's looking at Pence.
He called Mike Pence an effing loser?
He didn't call him directly, but he was looking at him when he was saying it. And it really caught my attention. And I thought we're at a different spot now. He's going to finally give a direct order to deploy paratroopers into the streets of Washington, D.C., and I'm thinking with weapons and bayonets. And this would be horrible.
What specifically was he suggesting that the U.S. military should do to these protesters?
He says, can't you just shoot them? Just shoot them in the legs or something. And he's
okay. So that's Mark Esper, former defense secretary, commenting on something. And now, of course, MAGA, because MAGA is fake news, won't believe any of that. You won't believe the words of this particular person, shared also by Mark Milley, because he said the exact same thing. So an unlawful order. So if he had ordered, and again, I know MAGA's going to say, well, he didn't do it. He didn't. Well, again, that's because your brains aren't very big. Nothing you have, by the way. Nothing you have is very big. Anywho, that would be an example of an unlawful order. So if you are being told to go and use, rubber bullets and shoot them at the legs of protesters, that would be an unlawful order. So that's an example of something that Donald Trump has done previously. We also don't know anything about these boats in the Caribbean. No idea. We have lots of information. First of all, that those boats aren't big enough to go from any South American country to the shores of the U.S. No evidence. 2 fishermen, by the way, who recovered from one of the boom booms, sent home. If they were these drug kingpins and these smug lords, right? They're smug lords, then why were they not detained and arrested? They were just sent home. Again, unlawful orders. So I'll let this interview continue.
Caught my attention, and I thought that we're at a different spot now. He's going to finally give a direct order to deploy paratroopers into the streets of Washington, D.C., and I'm thinking with weapons and bayonets. And this would be horrible.
What specifically was he suggesting that the U.S. military should do to these protesters?
Pay attention, MAGA.
He says, can't you just shoot them? Just shoot them in the legs or something. And he's suggesting that that's what we should do, that we should bring in the troops and shoot the protesters.
Cool.
The commander-in-chief was suggesting that the U.S. military shoot protesters.
Yes, in the streets of our nation's capital. That's right. Shocking.
Yeah.
We have seen in other countries
So MAGA, would that be a legal order? Would that be a legal order? Would that be legal? Would the President of the United States ordering the United States military and or the National Guard to turn their arms on American citizens and just pop them in the legs? Would that be a legal order? Person in the National Guard, and you were given that order based on the oath that you took, right? The oath that you took. Very, very clear that you are to disobey an unlawful order. Do you think that that's a lawful order? Now, we know that many of you Trump supporters were bona fide fucking racists. So if that crowd was filled with black people, you'd probably just jump on board. Now, wouldn't you? Well, guess what? You'd be court-martialed for that shit because that's an unlawful order. Here's more of the interview.
Government use their military to shoot protesters. Right. What kind of governments are those?
Well, those are banana republics, right? Or authoritarian regimes. We all remember Tiananmen Square.
Yeah.
Right, in China.
Regarding whether he suggested shooting protesters, in his statement, former President Trump said, "This is a complete lie, and 10 witnesses can back it up. Mark Esper was weak and totally ineffective, and because of it, I had to run the military."
Okay, so that's his claim, right? That's his claim. Although Mark Milley also backed it up from that conversation as well, right? Of course, MAGA's fake news. Anything that goes against what would be considered normal behavior is fake. MAGA is fake news. Are you going to take the liar-in-chief's word for it or decorated military officers? Do you want to believe Mark Milley or Donald Trump? Do you want to believe Mark Esper or Donald Trump? Mark Esper was handpicked by Trump to run the Pentagon. Okay? There's more to the story. So this is Alyssa Slotkin, who was one of the senators in that video that I played for you, reminding active duty military that they, exactly, Michelle, few good men, totally. Did you order the code red? You're damn right I did. It's an unlawful order. Okay? So here you go. This is Alyssa Slotkin pressing Pete Hegseth on basically what I just played for you. This was during his confirmation hearings.
Mr. Secretary, I said in your hearing, when you had your confirmation hearing, that my biggest concern with you at the helm was the potential use of the military in ways.
So this is about 4 or 5 months ago, okay?
With you at the helm was the potential use of the military in ways that contradict the Constitution or that taint what I hope we all want, which is an apolitical military. And when I asked you about whether you would accept an order that was actually given to your predecessor, Secretary Esper, Trump's SecDef, to deploy active duty troops against unarmed protesters and to, and in Secretary Esper's words, shoot at them, shoot at their legs. You said this was all theoretical. Here we are, a few months later, you've deployed 4,700 troops to Los Angeles and against the wishes of the governor. And my colleague across the aisle was right. It is the first time since 1965 that we have deployed Guard troops without the permission of the governor. In all the instances he laid out, the president had sent in the military to protect protesters, not against the protesters. So you may dismiss it, but I feel like this is a fundamental issue of American democracy. If you love your country and you want an apolitical military, then it should be the last resort, not the first resort in our country to use them. So to get to the non-theoretical, have you authorized the uniformed military to detain or arrest protesters in Los Angeles?
Senator, I would just start by saying you're not a protester if you're throwing concrete
100%.
at law
Arrest those
enforcement
people.
officers.
Throw them in the jail. 100%. But what you're doing is something different. Everyone knows this is a political decision, right? So we don't trust that you're using the best interests of the military, certainly, and of democracy on top of that. So have you given the order? That's all I want to know. It's not theoretical. For the U.S. military, not law enforcement. They can arrest all day long. That's their job. Do they have the ability, the uniformed military, to arrest and detain protesters currently today? It's a yes or no thing. Authority.
It's sort of amusing the extent to which the speculation is out there. These troops are given very clear orders.
Then what is the order? Then list it out for us. Be a man. List it out. Did you authorize them to detain or arrest? That is a fundamental issue of democracy. I'm not trying to be a snot here. I'm just trying to get the actual. Did you authorize them to do that?
All of these orders and what they're sent there to do are public. They are. Okay,
so say it. So say it. Yes or no?
I'd like to.
Please, yes or no?
As I've said time and time again through interruption, they're there to protect law enforcement.
Do they have the ability to arrest?
Who are trying to do their job, deporting illegals who were allowed in by the previous administration.
So they cannot arrest and detain citizens of the United States, the uniformed military.
As we've stated, if necessary, in their own self-defense, they could temporarily detain and hand over to ICE. But there's no arresting going on.
That's a fucking lie. They do not have that authority at all. This is Alyssa Slotkin questioning Pete Hegseth. They do not have that authority at all. They do not. Okay, I'll rewind a little bit for you.
In their own self-defense, they could temporarily detain and hand over to ICE. But there's
no, they cannot. No, they cannot. No, they cannot.
Arresting going on, and you know this better than you're trying to play political games. There's no arresting of U.S. personnel
of the U.S. military against members of the protest. Have you authorized U.S. military cyber tools to investigate people participating in these protests? Yes or no?
Certainly in no way that I'd be aware of.
Okay, that's good. I love that answer. That's great. Have you given the order to be able to shoot at unarmed protesters in any way? I'm just asking the question. Don't laugh. Like the whole country. And by the way, my colleagues across the aisle.
What is that based on? What evidence would you have that an order like that has ever been given?
Giving that order to your predecessor, to a Republican Secretary of Defense, who I give a lot of credit to because he didn't accept the order. He had more guts and balls than you because he said, I'm not going to send in the uniformed military to do something that I know in my gut isn't right. He was asked to shoot at their legs. He wrote that in his book. That's not hearsay. So your poo-pooing of this, it just shows you don't understand who we are as a country, who we are. And all of my colleagues across the aisle, especially the ones that served, should want an apolitical military and not want citizens to be scared of their own military. I love the military. I served alongside my whole life, so I'm worried about you tainting it. Have you given the order? Have you given the order that they can use lethal force against honor? I want the answer to be no. Please tell me it's no. Have you given the order?
Senator, I'd be careful what you read in books and believing it, except for the Bible.
Oh my God. So your former predecessor, I guess that's not enough for you. Okay, on Iran. I don't think there's a debate. There's like a cat fight going on in your own party.
I don't think you should believe what's written in any book unless it's the Bible. So you can believe your Sky Daddy stories, Pete, and you can hide your hatred behind it, even though you have no fucking idea what the Bible even stands for, you pathetic piece of fucking shit. Reminds me of my daily reminder. President Trump, Vice President Vance, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, and everybody else connected to this organization, or this administration of corruptors. I'm Steve, Facts. I go live every Monday through Friday right here, 8 till noon Eastern time. Fuck you. Thanks. Have a good day. Literally. Think about what he just said. He didn't answer a damn question. This is what we're talking about. This is the reminder from those senators and representatives that you as a uniformed active duty member of the military, by law, are to refuse and disobey an unlawful order. An unlawful order. That's it. Plain and simple. So the only person, in my opinion, committing sedition would be the president. If the expectation is, I give an order and no matter what, you are to obey it, even if it's unlawful, that would be sedition. Period. Period. There's no denying that. No denying it at all. For real. What, I have TDS?
Steve, I thought it was about Epstein. Now you're moving to something else. You're like a dog chasing your own tail. Can't you guys stick to one topic for longer than 3 days?
Can you not consume more than one piece of information at a time? Are you that?
I don't know, but I mean, are you going to keep up with this for 3 years? You constantly looking for something to cry about?
For real. Do you have a comment that you'd like to address, or do you just want to?
Well, that was my comment.
So your opinion on what your opinion on Donald Trump being a traitor?
He's not a traitor, and that's the problem. You guys are constantly with the TDS.
So what happened? So for real.
Yes, Steve.
Prove that you're the one and only MAGA that can actually have a conversation. Okay.
Well, it's impossible to have conversations with you guys.
I will prove that wrong right now. Okay. So tell me what Alyssa Slotkin and Mark Kelly and others, tell me what they said in that video.
They said if there's an unlawful order, you don't have to do it.
Correct. By law, right?
Yes. When you sign up to the military, you sign that document. Those are your rights.
He said it was sedition. And that
sedition, yes.
Right. And implying that they committed sedition. And the penalty for sedition is what?
I mean, it's unaliving. Well, I don't know the whole thing. Is that part of it? There might be more.
It is.
To it.
Treason. Treason. Under our law would be execution. So then why so then do you believe that the members that we talked about in that video, do you believe that they committed sedition?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. They should definitely be investigated. Sure, why not?
Why should they be investigated?
They investigated Trump over dumb conversations with Ukraine. So why not investigate them?
For real. Stay on topic, like you just said.
But I just said.
Stay on one topic. You can't stay on one topic.
No, I just told you they should be investigated.
For what?
For potential sedition.
For what? For what? How do they commit sedition? Tell me how. Go ahead. We got the floor. Go ahead. Tell me how they committed sedition.
Well, look, I think they've never done this
Answer my
before.
question. Answer my question.
See, this is the problem. I told you can't have a conversation.
Just answer the question.
I'm trying to answer it, but you don't want the answer. You just want to one-word answers, Steve.
No, for real. I want you to answer the question. How did they commit sedition? Tell me,
Steve. I think what they're trying.
How did they
look at this? You can't even,
sedition?
Steve, you can't even give me 2 seconds.
I want you to answer the question.
I'm trying to, but you keep over talking.
How?
This is why you can't have a. You just proved my point, Steve. Stevie.
For real. How did they commit sedition? It's really simple. Start with that answer, then move on to the next. Okay?
I think they should be investigated for it, Steve.
For what? For what?
Because.
For what?
I'm trying to answer. Because I think it was a dog whistle. I think what they're trying to do is encourage people in the military to say, hey, if you feel like there's something illegal that's going on, the orders you're receiving, you should not do them. Okay?
Because that's the oath that they took, for real.
I agree with you.
That's the oath that they took. So then what is seditious about that? So I let you speak now. I want you to answer my question.
So the whole premise of it is they're only doing it on. I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but this is not a conversation.
But you're not answering questions. You're
Steve, you don't like the answers to my question. You don't like the answers I'm giving you.
Do you think I'm afraid of you? Honestly?
Yes, you are, because you keep over talking.
No,
you can't give me 10 seconds, Steve.
I want you to answer the question.
Steve,
what did they do?
I'm trying to answer the question, but you won't let me.
Oh my God,
this is the problem with you.
Go ahead, baby. Go ahead, baby.
Okay, thanks, Stevie Boo. Okay.
You're welcome, Cupcake.
Yeah, okay, sweetheart. Listen,
love you, honey.
They've never done this under any other president, okay? So it's kind of very interesting why they're doing it now. They didn't do it under Biden. They didn't do it under Obama. All of a sudden, they're doing it now with Trump.
So why do you think that is? So let's use your logic, and then I'm gonna get you to answer my question. Why do you think they didn't do it under Biden or under Obama?
Because they hate Trump.
You literally walked into the point.
No, they hate Trump. That's what it is. Because they never pointed anything illegal about anything that they've done illegally.
They didn't have to. They didn't. Well, I played sound for you some things that would you. So let me ask you. So you didn't answer my question. First of all, I'm going to press you again. What did they do that was seditious?
There's nothing particular that I can see that they've done, but they should definitely be investigated. Again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a judge, I'm not Congress, so I can't make that determination. I'm just saying an overall view of what they're trying to do.
Okay, but you didn't answer my question. I'm going to try this one more time.
I answered it. I just told you. I don't think there's anything particular that they did. However, I'm not Congress.
Okay, wait. Okay,
I'm not an attorney.
Wait right there. Hold on, right there. The president of the United States said that they did, and then reminded people that the penalty for sedition is execution. So what are we investigating them for?
His claim. His claim. He made a claim, and they shouldn't be investigated to determine if his claim is correct or not. There's nothing wrong with that. Why would there be something wrong with investigating if they did do seditious acts?
What are we investigating for real? You heard their words.
What they were saying to the military directly. I don't know legality, how much of a problem that is.
Please stop for just a second. I let you answer. Again, you made the claim that you don't think what they did was seditious. So what are we
I never
investigating?
Said that. Well, I did say I don't think they did, but I don't have enough information. I don't know the legality of what they claimed, if it's seditious or not. So it should be investigated. If the president of the United States believes that, they should investigate everything they said and determine if that's seditious or not. 100%.
Cool. Okay, so again, using your logic, so then should the president of the United States also be investigated for what he said?
He's been investigated than any other president ever.
I'm just talking about this. I'm just talking. Don't pivot away. I'm talking about this.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to do that. Yeah, this is politics, Steve.
But again,
that's what they do.
Real.
So don't be naive.
What? Oh, trust me, I'm not. You're the one.
Because this was a political ploy from the Democrats too.
Why was it political?
Because they never did it under Obama, which he did illegal activities under the military. They never did it under
what
a drone strike in Yemen. That wasn't illegal.
Again, absolutely investigate it. No problem.
Okay, so there you go. So what's wrong with it?
Wait. Investigate Obama.
No, I'm just saying every president has potential. The military did illegal things. Every president. But this is the only time the Democrats ever came out to say
your excuse.
To the military. It's not an excuse. It's just a reality. They never came out. Did the Democrats, when Obama or Biden did anything illegal, and Clinton, or Bush, did they ever go to the military and say anything? Even Bush, did they?
What did they do that was illegal?
Did they go out and say, "Listen, military, your orders.
What did Obama or Biden? What did Obama or Biden do that was illegal?
Oh, the drone strike.
Okay, cool.
Was that? Do you believe that was legal or illegal?
I think I would seriously, if I'm being objective, I certainly think a president has a lot of authority to do things that I don't like. You could certainly classify lots of things as war crimes.
Why are you skirting around the question?
Let me answer the question.
No. Was it illegal or illegal? Did you see how that works? No. Bro, just answer. Was it illegal or illegal?
Okay, shut up. Like I just said, I think a president has a lot of authority to do things that I don't like.
Answering the question, Stevie.
Bro, shut up. Just shut up. Okay, you're getting destroyed here. It's not looking good for you. So I'm going to bring up a member of the military.
When you ask me a direct question and then you don't like the answer, when I ask you a direct question, you don't answer it. You see how that works? That logic.
But you didn't answer.
For real.
You didn't answer.
For real.
Yeah. Hey, Nick. For real. You got to chill out, bro. For real. You've got to chill out here. If you want to learn something or you want to argue, because if you want to argue, you can just leave.
I'm not arguing. I'm just asking you a direct question.
Stop. And I answered it. I did answer it. Go ahead, Thick.
Hey, good morning, Steve. Hey, so for real, we want to talk about drone strikes. Okay, so the problem with going down that route is if we look at the previous Trump administration turned over a rule that required transparency from the administration into the amount of drone strikes that were being performed overseas. We will never know the full extent of the drone strikes that occurred under the previous Trump administration. I would say that's a bit more problematic. Now, I'm not pivoting.
I didn't ask about the drone strikes under Trump. I asked about Obama. You're pivoting. Just answer the question. Anyway, you guys answer the question. Was what Obama
just stop talking?
Illegal yesterday.
For real. If you interrupt in the middle of my sentences, I can't finish my thought. I was literally about to. For real. I haven't interrupted you at all. I literally just got up here, and I for context, I'm a 14-year Army veteran. Now, when it comes to drone strikes, no, I think what Obama did in the Middle East was deplorable, frankly, when it comes to drone strikes. And I served in the military under Obama. I think what Trump did with drone strikes, I think what Biden did with drone strikes, anybody with drone strikes is frankly deplorable, point blank period, right? Now, circling back around to like what I believe the main point of contention here is, the lawmakers making a video reminding people, hey, you don't have to follow illegal orders. We're reminded of that on an almost daily basis while we're in the military. Like sometimes just randomly it'll come up in conversation, just completely unprompted, that, hey, you don't have to follow unlawful orders. So lawmakers making a video and not saying anything about any particular order that the president has given, just simply saying, hey, remember your oath, you don't have to follow unlawful orders. I struggle personally to like realize what it is from that could be seditious when there is no direct correlation between any particular order that the president has given. Your response.
Do you understand? Yes, go ahead, for real. You can respond to that, please.
Oh, I was getting a call. Say that one more. Sorry, just sum it up really quick. I heard some of it, but I got a call.
What part did you miss?
What was the question of your?
I didn't ask you a question. I was responding to what I believe your main point of contention is, that there was nothing in the video that the four or five lawmakers made where they directly reference a particular order that the president gave. However, on an almost daily basis, we are reminded constantly, hey, you don't have to follow unlawful orders. You don't have to follow unlawful orders. You don't have to follow unlawful orders. So I am a little confused as to what specifically
Yeah, I mean, look,
Exactly.
that's Trump's opinion on it, and I think they should be investigated. He's the
For
commander in
what,
chief.
though?
He's the president of the United States.
For
I don't
what?
think there's
Exactly.
anything
For
wrong
what,
with
for
being
real? But you
investigated
haven't
by
answered.
Congress.
You haven't answered the question.
Okay.
You haven't.
Okay.
That's
you
it.
haven't
I
answered the question.
don't know. Personally, I don't think they said anything wrong. Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong.
For real. Okay, then. Okay. So should we also investigate every non-commissioned officer, senior non-commissioned officer, and commissioned officer that tells service members on a regular basis that they do not have to follow unlawful orders?
Well, none of those people that actually release that are in the military.
It's a yes or no.
Well, no, it's not a yes or no. There's a nuance to everything. And going back to Obama's drone strike,
no,
he was unalived an American.
Hey.
For real, don't pivot.
He unalived an American. There's a big difference between
for real.
those drones. And no, let me just touch on a couple points. Listen, I get it. You want yes or no answers so you feel better about it, but I'm not going to give you yes or no.
Real. You literally just
I just gave you an answer. I said they're not in the military. There's a difference.
Yeah, they are veterans. They are quite literally.
It doesn't matter. They're not in the military. It's very simple. Those are two distinct things.
Well, hold on. So then, if I as a veteran tell other service members that they don't have to follow unlawful orders, am I committing seditious behavior?
I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe you should be investigated too.
So I'll tell you right now.
What?
I will tell you right now, for real, that per the Uniform Code of Military Justice, that is not seditious behavior to inform people that they have to adhere to the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
So what are you upset about then?
I'm not for real. Based on how the two of us are interacting in this conversation, I think it becomes very evident that I'm not the one that's upset.
Correct.
No, I'm not even upset. That's just my tone. I just feel like it's silly. You guys can't stick to one topic. That was my whole.
Says the guy who literally just ran away from the question to talk about Obama.
No. What I'm saying is,
can you please stop talking over me? Jesus fucking Christ!
Just wait, look who's upset now. Wow,
because you do not shut the fuck up, my guy. Conversations are like conversations.
You overtalk me.
Jesus fucking Christ! Literally every time I have opened my mouth.
When you talk over people, do you see how?
You are the one over talking.
When you
stop talking.
For real.
Thank you.
You have yet to say what they should be investigated for.
Exactly. I've asked 5 times. Stick's asked a couple times. What should they be investigated for?
Trump's claim is. What Trump's claim is.
And what is his claim?
What is his claim?
Sedition. Just what we've been talking about. What are we going in circles?
So then you think that it is seditious behavior to remind service members that they should follow their oath and that they do not have to follow unlawful orders.
I never said that. What did I say? Were you even listening? What
is the behavior that is seditious?
Repeat what I said. Maybe that will make you understand what I said.
What is the behavior that is seditious?
Yeah,
I said, if Trump has a claim.
That is the behavior.
This is what I'm talking about. Why are you over talking me, sir?
As you have literally done
Why are you
nonstop
over
over
talking?
me.
Do you see
if
how
you are going to overtalk me, you don't get to simultaneously throw a fit about being overtalked.
Exactly. You only get upset when I overtalk.
You know what? Hey, for real. Let's start again. What'd you have for breakfast today?
I had coffee.
Nobody fucking cares.
Maybe you should go actually eat breakfast and you'd be in a better mood.
So I know you can be objective, Thick. I know you can be objective. And from where I sat, now perhaps, obviously everything's political. I'm no doubt about it. These statements like that are certainly political. But and could they have included some things that were considered illegal? I don't know. I think it was literally just a reminder of what's at stake here. Did you see anything that they should have done differently or could have done differently or perhaps should not have done it at all? I don't know. I'm just trying to find the objective answer here.
I didn't see anything wrong with that video. I mean, if we're going to say that, like, oh, you're not in the military and saying that military members should follow their oath and they don't follow unlawful orders, then we should be arresting, I don't know how many protesters that have walked around with signs and claiming that they're committing treason. Saying that, hey, the Uniform Code of Military Justice exists and you have to follow it, claiming that that's seditious is an insane statement.
Exactly. That was what we were trying to get him to answer. What would be considered seditious? Now, again, free speech. They're not allowed to say something that you don't like, that you disagree with. We should investigate that. We should investigate when he reposted the article from the Washington Examiner. Hang them, George Washington would. People that Donald Trump reposted, or claims about the lies that they told on Fox News, saying that these Democratic elected officials were saying that the military should disobey orders from the president. No, they leave out a lot of context. This is the issue. This is why I tell you MAGA is fake news, because they're not willing to. They're going to argue with the quote. Like, well, that's not what they said. Well, this is what they said. Well, that's not what they meant. Well, that is what they said, but that's not what they meant. How do you know? Are you in their fucking brain? Donald Trump, if anybody's going to be investigated for sedition, it would be the president for what he said, period.
Well, that, and I would say sending a mob to the Capitol would be closer to sedition than posting a 45-second video.
Correct. Exactly. Thanks for jumping in. I know it's probably before coffee. I appreciate you.
Oh, I've had one cup, but Kristen says hi, good morning, both you and Oslo.
Hi, Kristen. Thank you, pal. I'll talk to you later.
Take care.
Bye. It's just this wild argument. What are they to be investigated for? Somebody knocks on the door. FBI, we're here to investigate something you said. What did we say? Well, you said that the active duty military shouldn't obey an unlawful order. Yeah, okay. That's true. That's in there. That's the oath that they took. Well, the president didn't like it. Okay. Have a good day. It's like, yeah. And of all people to try to accuse me of bouncing around to numerous topics, when did Obama's drone strikes come up? I think people in the military didn't despise Obama's drone strikes, but it wasn't illegal. If you want to make it illegal, let's have conversations about that. I have no problem with that. No problem. No problem with that at all. At all. It's just crazy. Like, why are we even arguing about that? It's just nuts. But
hey,
good morning, Tommy. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Good, thanks. What's on your mind?
So I kind of wanted to hop in on the conversation. You and I have talked before. I'm former military. I was in the Navy for 8 years on a submarine. And, to this guy's point, for real, no, this is not seditious, mutiny, or unlawful. And I can give you the reasons, right? One, all they said were these three things. They addressed the military and the intelligence community directly. They said the American people need them to stand up for our laws and constitution. And they said that members may decline to carry out unlawful orders, which is true. And I even expressed to you, it's not even may, it's must. They must not carry out unlawful orders. All right. So why is this not seditious, mutiny, or unlawful? It's because all of the, the branches acknowledge that, service members must follow lawful orders and must refuse unlawful orders. And this comes from UCMJ Article 92. We spoke about that before. The oath of office, which is, the oath to support and defend the Constitution. It is not to a single person. Nuremberg principles. So following orders is not a defense for unlawful acts. And Supreme Court precedent. So given that, reminding service members of their legal duties cannot be sedition. Now, this is where it could become seditious or mutinous, right? If they explicitly or implicitly encouraged refusal of lawful orders, which they implicitly and explicitly said the opposite, right?
Correct.
Disruption of command, abandonment of post, interference with military operations. And those could then violate Article 94 of the UCMJ. And that would be subject to the service members, not necessarily the veterans, only the veterans if they're retirees, or they're subject to inactive ready reserve or they're part of the reserves. Otherwise, when you're a veteran, you are no longer subject to the UCMJ. Once you're fully separated, a certain amount of time has passed, you are not subject to the UCMJ as just a regular veteran. So was this like unusual or inappropriate? No. Members of Congress regularly address the troops, veterans, intelligence operations, DoD leadership, right? Because they have oversight over national security. That's what they do. That's what Congress does. So like this, was it political? Sure. Right? Partisan?
Sure.
Possibly. Was it illegal?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely not. Because it's not meeting the legal thresholds for sedition. Now, One thing someone may have mentioned is conspiracy to commit sedition, but there is a very high threshold, very high legal threshold to meet in order to meet conspiracy to commit sedition. And also you need to like actually use force. For instance, January 6th, when people actually, went to overthrow the government to prevent federal law enforcement from acting. They seized and destroyed federal property. They would be considered seditious.
And people were convicted of that. And people were convicted and pardoned, by the way. Enrique Tarrio, Stuart Rhodes, and others, I believe, were convicted of seditious conspiracy, like just what you described, and they happened to be pardoned by the president.
Which doesn't take away what they did. I mean, they still committed sedition. They were still found guilty of it, right? So by them just saying merely follow the Constitution, that's not seditious. By saying do not obey unlawful orders, that is not sedition. There's no call to force. There's no, hey, you need to do X, Y, Z. And that's kind of my 5-part point of why this is not sedition and it was not seditious.
Okay. I think where people are, and thank you for that breakdown. Everybody, if you don't follow Tommy, please do. I think where people are struggling, and myself as well, is that what would constitute an unlawful order, and what is a person supposed to do who's on the receiving end? I read what I thought was the law about what you're supposed to do if you believe you've been giving an unlawful order. How does that work, practically speaking?
Yeah. So I was in the Navy. I was on a submarine. So what I would encounter is going to be very different than what someone else would encounter. Because I've been posed this like, hey, give me an example of what it would be. I can't give you one because there's probably never going to be an unlawful order that would come down the pipe on a submarine. But for instance, if you're on the front lines, the pointy end of the spear, you're out in, one of these countries that we're having military engagements in, right? And for instance, your CO says, hey, go take the hill by any means necessary, right? That would not be a lawful order because it is vague and it's not specific. A lawful order needs to be like specific, concise, and clear, right? So the by any means necessary makes it vague and leaves too much room for interpretation. So you could ask for more clarity, or you could just simply state, hey, sir, I believe that's an unlawful order. I'd like to consult with, military lawyers.
Like JAG or whatever?
Yeah, to JAG. I would say JAG, but that's the only one I know of. I don't know what other branches have. But for me, I've had to consult JAG before, and it wasn't because of an unlawful order. But someone was saying, oh, well, officers have access to JAG or lawyers. Enlisted does not. That's not true. Everyone has access to them. Like there's places on base you could walk into and they'll give you advice. There's numbers you can call. Now, what will happen immediately? You'll probably be relieved of command, and they're probably going to put someone else in command, and that person's probably just going to carry out that order. Not to say that what you do isn't important, but it can have repercussions. It can't have negative repercussions in your, career, right? I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that. Because in your command now, they're not going to see you as someone who's going to, unconditionally follow orders, which you're not supposed to. So it's just, it may not set you up in the climate of that command to be successful. So after that, you're probably going to want to try to move positions, get to another command, which there will be a process to do that. Right. I'm just giving you my, again, I haven't personally run into this. This is just the knowledge that I have. Whether or not it is 100% right, I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about military law. But that's how I would have gone about it, and that's what I would have done had something come down the pipe like that for me.
Now, I'm not going to put you on the spot, and we don't know all the details, but what we've seen in the Caribbean with those alleged drug boats, what category do they fall into? Lawful, unlawful?
And my opinion is based off of the fact that Pentagon did release their findings on this, and they did find it lawful. And because I don't know everything that they know, I have to just agree that what they say is correct. Now, do I believe if XYZ is correct, meaning If they do not have drugs on them, then no, this was not lawful. We're just like if you were on the front line and you have an entire row of civilians and your commanding officer says, unalive these civilians, these unarmed civilians, that is an unlawful order, right? And you would be required to question that order. I don't know though, once this has gone down the pipe through hundreds of people, right? And probably not hundreds, it's gone through the chain of command from the top to the bottom. There's been many, many people who know more about law than I would know, that I would have to take it at their word that this is a lawful order. Now I can say, hey, I don't believe this is a lawful order. I'd be relieved of command, or I'd be relieved of duty. Someone else would be put in that position, and they're probably going to be the one that presses the button.
So it puts active duty military, and especially rank and file, puts them in a really tough spot.
It does,
right?
Top to bottom.
Top to bottom. But at the end of the day, what those elected members of Congress, former veterans, did was not was not abnormal. It's just a reminder. They weren't direct. Yes, we can agree it was political, no doubt about it. And the question that our previous guest had asked, well, how come it didn't happen under Biden? How come it didn't happen under Obama? Because they didn't feel like there was this threat. There weren't uniformed military roaming the streets of American cities.
Yeah.
There wasn't behavior that we saw from the first time where Mark Esper had to say, wait a minute, he told me he wanted to question whether or not we could use rubber bullets and shoot at the legs of protesters. Those things would be unlawful orders, right?
Yeah, and the interesting thing to me is, like, people forget we did question these things. Like sure. I don't know if people remember Obama's presidency, but we did question these things. These things were not done without question, without scrutiny, right? And when we gave that scrutiny, it was not considered seditious to scrutinize the president's actions.
Correct. I mean, I think the determination was that the drone strikes were not illegal, but nobody liked them, including all of us. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it, especially if civilians are for unalived. But it's not doesn't rise to the level of sedition.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. Tommy, thanks for that breakdown, man. I really, really appreciate that, and thank you for your service, friend. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Steve. Yep.
You got it. See you later. It's such a wild debate. It's just like if and sadly for real, it's just an emotional baby. If you feel like there's something that they've done, what are you investigating? Like, you can't just say they investigate what? Like, what are we investigating? You want to investigate their speech? Then that just proves that you're an authoritarian dictator and you don't think somebody's saying something that's well within their rights to say, first of all, as an American citizen. Second of all, as a former active duty, as a veteran who knows the law, and all they did was say, listen, you are obligated to disobey an unlawful order. That's in your oath. Don't forget that. It's just an interesting pivot that people are finding themselves in now. I really struggle with it, but it is what it is. BCB, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Can I do a green screen for some articles?
What are you bringing up?
Some recent articles over the past 5 days that legitimize the Congress people feeling the need to remind servicemen and women of this, because it's been reported from 6 different sources, 2 current national security sources, 2 former, and then 2, I think, congressional people, or aides rather, that the JAG officer for South Command, so the command that's actually carrying out the strikes on the boats in the Caribbean, raised concerns that what they were going to be doing was unlawful, and that person was ignored by political appointees, legal appointees. And so, I mean, I get that no judge has officially ruled that the strikes in the East Pacific and Caribbean are illegal, but the JAG officer, who they're supposed to, by protocol, go to question this, had actually raised to the White House that he perceived it as potentially illegal. And so,
I appreciate that. That's another example. And that's, I think we all should be, first of all, the fact that we're talking about this, I think is good. I think a lot of people don't understand the complexity as to what's involved, right? Thickless tried to explain it. Tommy tried to explain it. It's complicated. It puts active duty, especially, grunts and everybody else enlisted in a tough spot, especially if they're given an order that I guess their an order comes down from command that it's legal and the way that it's lawful. So I just think it puts things in a really complicated situation. And now with this information about a JAG resigning their post because, in their opinion, they shared this information with the White House and it fell on deaf ears, so to speak.
Yeah.
So these are all examples. Perhaps again, we don't know what these members of Congress know. I'm sure they know a hell of a lot more of things potentially.
Well, actually,
that could happen or might happen or may not happen.
The irony is they're actually, and also I guess I can give you the sources: NBC News, Washington Post, The Independent. All of them have articles on this, but also, like, for weeks we've been hearing from Senator Warner from Virginia, Mike Kelly, even Jason Crow. Both Jason Crow and Mike Kelly were in the video, have said that they have not been given the proper briefings on this. And so the Congress people actually aren't are being shut out from finding out about this, which raises the alarm bells even more, because even the legal justification, like the memo, only a handful of senators were given them, and primarily Republicans. That's been stated in interviews and in the press routinely. And I guess I wanted, it was reported that on Friday, the members of Congress in that video have actually requested DC police, I think, to investigate the posts that Donald Trump made as threats. And that's huge. And also, I think that's legitimate because his Truth Social account is his private account. If we even want, just to try and frame it in the presidential immunity, which was absurd for the Supreme Court to do, and them saying official acts, his social media account is private. That's his private citizen account. And so all the threats that they've received, all of those people who should be prosecuted for the threats that they've made in voicemails and texts and emails, etc., and boom threats and swatting, etc., Trump should be charged as a co-conspirator in every single one of those cases because he's the one who encouraged it.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody, in my opinion, if anybody has committed sedition based on the law, it would be him, the president, because his statement was that you should obey my orders no matter what. That would be a violation of his oath, in turn, a violation of the Constitution. And if it's sedition, punishable by. So there you go.
Agreed.
Thanks for sharing that today, BCB. I appreciate you for jumping in.
Thanks, brother.
Have a good day. You got it. Be safe. It's just a really weird. It's just MAGA's fake news. MAGA does not care about the military. Not at all. Never have. They will use them as pawns. They will run up their flags. They'll have their never forget, and they'll celebrate MBS being in the Oval Office. They'll call it some sort of, it's all about the negotiation. They don't give a shit that an Islamic jihadist, who is now the president of Syria, was in the Oval Office on Veterans Day. That guy was part of a plot to behead American soldiers in Iraq. They don't give a fuck about that. MAGA doesn't care. They just think it's cool that Trump's joking around about how many wives he had. It's fucking pathetic. It's pathetic. Our president, in my opinion, is a traitor. Is a traitor to his oath, is a traitor to the country, doesn't give a shit about any of his vote, doesn't care about any of his voters, doesn't care about any of them. MAGA is fake news. They sold you a bill of goods. They sold you this belief that they were America first. Doesn't give a fuck. Doesn't give a flying fuck about this country. He cares about his pocket. Donald Trump is a traitor, in my opinion. A traitor. He took the same oath that members of active duty military took, period. He enriched himself time and time and time again. They lie on a daily basis. They put their hand up and take an oath to what? Dollars and cents? And they're part of the biggest cover-up domestic political history The guy's a fucking predator. He's protecting others. MAGA is fake news. The entire thing was built on a fucking lie. They can't answer a simple question. What do we investigate these people for something they said? Then you're admitting that people who do not have the right to say what's on their mind. Now, if any of those senators had come out and said, and they had changed the argument to say that you should disobey whatever Trump says, I would be like, no, that's bullshit. You shouldn't have said that. But here we are. Here we are. We've had two members of the military both come up and say the same thing. They're taught this over and over and over again. And because of the toxic climate that we are now in, because our president is a traitor, ordering National Guards troops across the country, bringing in the U.S. military, violating posse comitatus, threatening to use the Insurrection Act, for what? For what? That's what they are addressing. Is it political? Sure, it's political. Everything's political. No doubt about it. Sure, it's political. But if you look at Truth Social right now, they're using this language to fundraise. They're using what these Democratic politicians have said to fundraise. They're selling merch about it. It's crazy. So the argument should be, the debate should be around, why is the president using words like sedition and then reminding people what the penalty for sedition is? Those are threats. And of course, because the non-violent right would not respond to that, we've got hundreds of examples, if not more, thousands of examples of these elected officials now being under threat. But MAGA can't take responsibility of that because it's fake news, because they're traitors too. Period. Full stop. I know, but what about Biden? What about Biden? What about Obama? Navy vet, how are you, friend?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I've been hearing those arguments all weekend long about how they think that was seditious. It's not. We're reminded daily of that. And the thing about in that situation, and when I was in the Gulf War, I was in from January of '89 to 2000, so 11 and a half years. And in that situation, sometimes you'll think that something's unlawful, and you'll do it, but you'll go question it. And basically, the way you question is you don't go, "Hey, this is wrong." So we don't hear about half the time that these orders are questioned.
I'm sure.
You go in behind closed doors to your LPO or first lieutenant, whatever, depending on your service, and you go, "Hey, this is what I think." They go, "Okay, well, let's get clarification." So they go to the next higher up officer. If he don't know, they go to the captain XO, look it over and say, "Okay, this is what we think." We'll call the JAG officer of the command. Usually it's the fleet commander, JAG, and say, "What do you think of these? Is this lawful, unlawful?" And you don't ever hear about half those. I mean, almost probably about, I'd say 60%, maybe 50 to 60% of the drone strikes were asked and questioned. And the Caribbean, I don't know if it's questionable. I'll give you it's questionable. They said it's not unlawful, but my reasoning for my questioning it, they didn't have enough gas to get to the United States, number one. And number two, they have vessel boarding, search, and seizure teams in the Coast Guard and the Navy to do that. They go onto those ships to investigate.
Correct.
That's where my issue comes in. We have the teams to do that, and that's what they're paid to do, and they wear flak jackets because it is a dangerous situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think everything, this is unprecedented. The reason that MAGA freaks out when we are investigating or questioning the things that Trump has done is because we've never seen anything like this before, and thank goodness we'll never see it again. So this is on them. Thanks for jumping in today, friend. I appreciate you very much, and thank you for your service.
One more thing.
Sure.
The reason that it's sedition is because if you look at what he's doing, he's accusing everybody of what he was accused of.
Well, yeah. I mean, in theory, what those members. I'm gonna drop you down. Thanks for being here, buddy. I appreciate
you. Go ahead. Yeah. Thank you.
You got it. What those, just to, then we'll close the loop here. What those senators and congressmen and women did was remind active duty military that you are obligated under the oath that you took to disobey an unlawful order. That's what they did. The president said doing that is seditious, meaning that he expects everybody in the chain of command to do exactly what he says, no matter if it's lawful or unlawful. That would be sedition, not what the veterans had done, period. So we can debate that all day long, but there's no wiggle room there. The only person, in my opinion, who should be a convicted felon named on a list, predator, traitor. So yeah, thank you to Rhonda. Rhonda started the Dollar Train. Thank you, Rhonda. And Savage Mom, thank you, friend. I appreciate you very, very much. Okay, so we could talk about this all morning. There's a lot of other things to cover on. I do have a couple other requests. I'll bring up Danny real quick. I think Danny's well versed to talk about this.
How are you?
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I am doing all right. Just to add in, I'm not JAG. I am a veteran, right? But I'm not JAG. But I think it's important to pay attention to what JAG has said. And so what we know is that Senior Judge Advocate General Paul Megger, who's a Marine Colonel in the U.S. Southern Command, raised legal concerns about what was happening or about what was going to happen all the way back in August, right? Sure. So I think that people need to understand that this is it's not a question. And when Tommy says, well, the Pentagon said, I frankly don't give a shit what the Pentagon said, because the Pentagon is run by Pete Hegseth, and Pete Hegseth lies for the president.
I think his point was that's all we know by what the Pentagon has told us, right? I hear you.
I hear him. I just also go, yeah, but I really don't care what comes out of I look at the government today, and if I log on to government websites and I see the radical left, blah, 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 it is obvious to me that my government is compromised, right? And I know for sure the reason behind the September 30th, bring everybody in is because they wanted to see who was gonna play ball and who wasn't. And everybody that is not playing ball, they are getting rid of, right? And that is why a lot of these people in JAG and a lot of the senior officials are speaking on the condition of anonymity. The same thing has happened. An article just came out, I want to say on Thursday. Common Dreams was building off of the reporting by MSNBC after they talked to Colonel Megger. And there's another JAG officer who's currently serving, who said on the condition of anonymity, there is no world in which this is legal. And I think that people just need to ask yourselves, what are we listening to at this point? Mm-hmm. I'm listening to the people that have nothing to gain and everything to lose by telling the truth and standing up and speaking truth to power. And that's these folks that are sitting there. What the veterans did, Mark Kelly, Elise Slotkin, listen, that's not anywhere close to sedition, as you and I both know, Steve.
Of course not.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very simple that this is where we are. And I think that people, in my opinion, I looked up the other day, who can prosecute members of the DOJ. Have you ever looked to see who that is?
No. About who can prosecute the Department of Justice?
Yeah. I didn't know that this was a thing.
I think local law enforcement can't they?
Well, it depends on what it's for, right? But I actually was looking this up the other day because I was like, okay, so what do you do when your DOJ is compromised, as obviously ours is, right? And hold on, and I'm going to tell you the answer that I got. So under federal law, right, they can all be prosecuted. And so the FBI could do it. U.S. Marshals could do it, but you would have to kind of bring in a special prosecutor. But it just is interesting to me. And I think that these are the things that Congress should be exploring, is how do we take out,
Agreed.
You know what I mean? That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, who can do it and who will do it are entirely separate things. There's no way the FBI under Pam Bondi and Cash Patel is going to investigate themselves. That ain't gonna happen. But I agree. So if there's anything, and I'm curious your opinion on this. By the way, friends, if you don't follow Danny, please do. Like your 7th account or whatever that might be. Anyway, I think if there's anything good that's come out of these last 10 years, I'll talk about the Trump effect. It's all of the various weaknesses in our system. Democracy to function requires people of character to abide by the rules. Just like in any civil society. And when you don't, and when you have people who do not care about small d democratic norms and or the institutions that are there to protect us, then you have to address it. So if there's anything good that's come out of this, it's to show that there are a lot of breaks in the system if you have people that are unethical. Supreme Court ethics, they investigate themselves for ethics, for example. Mm-hmm. Who's going to hold the Department of Justice accountable? Who's going to investigate the investigators, so to speak? So I hope that when Democrats take control of the office again, or the Congress again, and the Senate, that they blow up the fucking filibuster and change the whole goddamn system, because we can't allow what's happened to happen again.
Yeah.
Whatever that would look like, independent auditing and or independent investigators over the top of the DOJ, whatever that looks like. I don't know, but something has to happen. Something has to happen.
Yeah, 100% agree with you that I think the blessing out of all of this is that we now see the gaping holes that are within our systems and our structures. And, this is one of the things that it sucks, but the Heritage Foundation was really, really smart. Like they took their time and they looked at like their new book, the Constitution. It's that they put out a book now, right? Where the Heritage Foundation took the Constitution literally like amendment by amendment and put together a book on the legal arguments against the amendments. That's why Steve Bannon was saying to you, oh, there's a way around the 22nd Amendment. When you're an originalist, you don't care about the amendments, right? Except the second. Except the second.
They want to stop at the second. They don't even want the first. They only want the second.
Right. Yeah. But what's crazy about this is did you know that Alex Acosta actually clerked for Sam Alito?
Yes.
When you just look at it is such an incestuous.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It is absolutely asinine. But no, I agree with you that the blessing out of all of this is that we now know just to what degree our systems can be exploited if people have when there's no line. Like there's always been a line, like it's always been exploited, right? There's been acceptable losses, but there's just always been a line. Like it's funny, everybody wants to blame Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning because she pushed for Epstein. No, that's not it. No, it's not. Do you want to know why I know it's not? You see, nothing's happening. You don't see Massey resigning. You don't see Bobart. You don't see Mace. Do you know the difference between Marjorie Taylor Greene and those three people? Her comments about Israel.
I was just going to say, it has a lot to do with Israel and her money, and we're going to talk about her in a second. She's no fucking hero. She's resigning 2 days after she gets her pension.
Hell yeah. But you know what? That's part of the deal. That's part of the deal. Yeah. She will resign after she gets her pension. She'll make her rounds on all of the conservative news things so she can get her big fat ass checks. She'll get her book written. She'll get a deal for this is the package that they gave her to sit down because the road that she was going down was going to be a very, in my opinion, dangerous one for her. And so, but that to me is the difference. It is not, I need for people to understand it wasn't Jeffrey. It was Israel.
Nope.
And when you put those two things together, you're sunk. I
do hope she goes scorched earth before she goes out the door, though. That would be great.
Oh, I would love it if she burns it on her way out.
Same here. Thank you for jumping in today. Are you going live at all?
I am. I will be live at about 10-ish.
10 Eastern.
Eastern. I'm Eastern. Eastern.
Okay. If you're still live, we'll send you over there. Thank you, Danny.
I will be. Have a good one, friend.
You too. Take care. Bye. By the way, for anybody who wants to question Joe Biden served in government for around 50 years, net worth at around $17 to $18 million. Most of that came through book deals. When Marjorie Taylor Greene entered office, 5 years ago, her net worth was $700,000. It's now $25 million, and she's literally resigning 2 days after she gets her pension. So she ain't no fucking hero. She ain't no hero. But challenge your MAGA friends on that. Let them bring up Nancy Pelosi. Let them bring up Joe Biden. Seriously, go ahead. Anyway, this conversation is great. This topic is fascinating to me, and we've got numerous examples of why active duty military should be questioning lawful orders, should be questioning orders in general. And I hope that it doesn't go away, and I hope we continue. I've got time for one more guest, and then we'll get into our additional topics here. G Unit. G Unit. Are you there? G Unit.
I can't really talk right that loud.
Hello? G Unit. Progressives in your pocket. Go buy a t-shirt. They're in the merch store. And then we'll try Stellar, and then we'll move on. Stellar, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm from New Zealand, actually, so it's a different perspective. It's actually 3 a.m. here. I'm a junior doctor here, and my medical perspective of Trump, also how New Zealand sees Trump quickly, and also how our system has some changes so that we can avoid cult-type Trump-like figures. So I believe over 80% or more, it might be 90%, the statistics I've seen, have a strong dislike for Trump in New Zealand. I'm not sure about Australia, but New Zealand does not like Trump. We think he's dangerous, unpredictable, anti-science is a big one. He's a threat to democracy, and he's also like a destabilizing or like morally corrupt, embarrassingly uneducated, and the stability is a problem. And in New Zealand, we have a system called the mixed member proportional representation. So there's 2 main parties, but there's also other parties, and they have to essentially, no single party can dominate with 30 to 40% of the vote. Coalitions.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I just if we could summarize what you wanted to try to say, and then so we can move on. We have a lot to cover today, so if you could just kind of summarize what it is you wanted to say. Okay.
Absolutely. So we have coalitions here. Basically, parties work together, and also I believe Trump, his doctor ordering an MRI shows that he has some issue going on. He definitely has either Alzheimer's or he has had a stroke. That's all I'll say. But New Zealand is not a Trump fan. But thank you for having me, and I just wanted to share New Zealand.
Appreciate that. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't forget that was the whole argument when on your first one last week when he said, "Oh yeah, MRIs are just normal." No, MRIs are just not normal. That doesn't happen that way. Okay. I think we've discussed this. I'm sure the debate will continue because there'll be more stupid ass shit that the president says on True Social. And something that Tommy said that I think is really, really important to note is that his True Social account is his personal account. Like that will go with him when he leaves. He had it before he became the president. It's not the official White House account, right? It's his. So if he's making threats as a person against elected officials, then you could start to investigate that. So, okay. Let me, mods, can I get a quick, actually, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to play a little bit of sound for you guys because we have a lot of conversations to cover off on. I want to play this sound because we can't forget about Caroline. You recall when the president was doing his misogynistic bullshit when he called a quiet piggy? We've all heard about that, right? And the right has tried to spin this to try to say that it wasn't that, it was Peggy, and even though the person's name wasn't Peggy, all kinds of shit. Quiet piggy. This was Caroline Leavitt's response to that when asked about it.
What did the president mean when he piggy? Look, the president
You've all seen it yourself. You've all experienced it yourselves. And I think it's one of the American people reelected this president because of his frankness. And he calls out fake news when he sees it. He gets frustrated when you lie about him, when you spread fake news about him and his administration. But he also is the most transparent president in history. And he gives all of you in this room, as you all know, unprecedented access. You are in the Oval Office almost every day. Questions. And so I think the president being frank and open and honest to your faces rather than hiding behind your backs is frankly a lot more respectful than what you saw in the last administration, where you had a president who lied to your face and then didn't speak to you for weeks and hid upstairs and didn't take your questions. So I think everyone in this room should appreciate the frankness and the openness that you get from President Trump on a near daily basis.
So we'll just appreciate the openness and honesty of the president calling a woman reporter piggy. That's cool. Well, that's really cool. Transparent. Yeah. That's Caroline. As a reminder, she's from New Hampshire. If you know, you know. One of the big principles of what I wanted to talk about today, as far as MAGA's fake news, is that everything they tell you, everything that they've convinced tens of millions of Americans to believe, is complete and utter fucking bullshit. Party of family values. That is a belief set within MAGA, right? That we're the moral majority. That we are we care about fiscal conservatism and fiscal responsibility. That we care about families, that we're concerned about law and order, that we're concerned about crime. Well, I was curious. I know most of these numbers by heart, but I wanted to pull some of them up, just so we have a pretty good perspective on these items that we're talking about. So, for example, if we're talking about the party of family values, right? Let's talk about divorce. 10 of the 14 states with the highest rates of divorce are all red states. When I say red, it's states that voted for Donald Trump in 2024. Teen pregnancy. The states with the highest rates of teen pregnancy are Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Kentucky, and West Virginia. Crime, violent crime. States with the highest rates of violent crime: Alaska, New Mexico, Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, South Carolina. Poverty. States with the highest rates of poverty: Mississippi, Louisiana, New Mexico, Arkansas, West Virginia, and Kentucky. Violence against women in particular, domestic violence all in all. Oklahoma, Kentucky, Nevada, Alaska, Arizona, Indiana, South Carolina, Missouri, Illinois, Washington. So when we have these conversations about MAGA being fake news, this is kind of what I mean. They have been told, even though they live in these environments that have the highest rates of crime, the highest rates of divorce, the highest rates of poverty, the highest rates of maternal mortality, the highest rates of teen pregnancy, the highest rates of violent crime, crimes against women, crimes against kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They've been told that these things exist outside of the area that they live. When in fact, it is them. They are the perpetrators of crimes against women and children. They are the ones that are committing higher rates of violent crime. Everybody wants to, education outcomes as well. Everybody wants to point to blue cities. Well, guess what? Blue cities exist in every state. So why is it then that the states that even have blue cities are the ones that have the highest rates of the things that we just discussed? Lower education outcomes, higher rates of poverty, infant mortality, maternal mortality, educational outcomes. MAGA has never been about making America great. Never. The elected officials behind it, the Heritage Foundation, and those in power have used that, period. Full stop. You have been lied to at every turn. We have been calling it for a decade now. Every turn. And yet you'll still believe the lie. Many of you still think you're still waiting for your Doge check. Where is it? Why aren't you going to get it? You were lied to. You were never going to get it. Now there's talk about a $2,000 tariff rebate check. You're not going to get that either. It's not going to happen. You've been lied to. Exactly. Who said that? Racism is expensive. The entire, no matter what it is, no matter, we can point to I can give you a counter to every single talking point that the Trump administration has been using for the past 10 years, and we will blow it up in their face. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you guys this. Ignore them. Ignore them. They have no character to stand on. They are morally bankrupt. They are led by people who are intentionally lying to them to rip them off. Doge cost us more money than we saved. And you guys don't seem to care. Since the election, back when Zohran Mamdani was elected the mayor of New York City, all you have heard from your right-wing spaces is that he's a communist, he's a jihadist, he's a threat, it's never going to work, he's a horrible, disgusting person, New York City's going to go down the shithole, blah, 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 blah. There's lives that on the right that I'll go to, and that's all I heard from these people. That's all I heard. Donald Trump has a bromance with Zohran, and now what is MAGA doing? They're like, oh, you know what? Obviously, if he's got policies that are going to work, it's going to be fantastic. I think the president sees that. The president's recognizing talent. You see what I mean? You guys will just follow whatever he tells you to do. Case in point, conversation we had early this morning. Just tell us what they did wrong. If you believe that they committed sedition, tell us how. When you can't answer the question because you become so tribal in the cult. Time and time and time and time again, MAGA is fake. The story about the Russian-Ukrainian peace deal, I think, to me, proves everything that we've been saying. Because like I've said many times, let me pull this up. It's always been Russia. It's always been Russia. They're behind everything. This peace deal that's been authored, very, very likely, all signs point to the fact that it was a Russian wish list that was interpreted and then shared with members of the House and Senate. And Marco Rubio is scrambling because of the disconnect in their information. In case you haven't heard, I've got some sound for you. Probably the easiest thing for me to do is just to play it. Hang on one sec. Let's see here. Where is it? They live in this bubble, right? They live in this bubble that if there's a mistake or if there is a misquote or the signal leak, it's somebody else. It's not us. We couldn't have done that. We're not the ones that are incompetent. It's somebody else. This whole story about this Russian peace deal, by the way, the pressure is mounting. Apparently, it's got to a deadline of Thanksgiving Day. I don't know exactly where this is going to go, and I haven't checked recently. But let me just find this sound, because I think this to me is synonymous with the entire Trump administration about how they are incapable of governing because they don't want to govern. They want to harm people. That's what they're in this for. They don't care about the law and order. They care about enriching themselves. They don't care about the middle class. They care about enriching themselves. They don't have a healthcare solution because they're in bed with their corporate donors. Don't forget, their corporate donors are the ones that help them get elected. So here we are, running through this fucking cycle like it's nothing like I've ever seen before. We're going to punish. We're going to punish our voters the most, and we're going to tell them it's immigrants' fault. We're going to tell them it's women's fault. We're going to tell them that it's black and brown people's fault. Every single marginalized community, it's their fault. Meanwhile, they're the ones that are getting fucking hosed the most. We always ask for that fuck around and find out moment. I don't like suffering. I don't want anybody to suffer. I really don't. It puts me in a weird spot. I don't want people to suffer. Yes, you get what you vote for. I agree. But as we always say, we are the ones that are looking out for them. We care more about their kids than they do. We care more about their family's future than they do. We care more about their economic fortunes than they do. We care more about their kids' access to higher education than they do. We're tired of having to remind them daily that you live in states that don't give a shit about you. Those states, by the way, being run with Republican policies. We go back 100 years. The economies do better under Democrats. Even Donald Trump admitted that. The model is such. Let's just go back to the 80s, right? 12 years of Reaganomics between Reagan and Bush Sr. Massive transfer of wealth. Massive destruction of the middle class. What does Bill Clinton does? Comes in and fixes it. Leaves us with a budget surplus. The economy's humming. Bush comes in, more tax cuts for the rich, drives the economy in the shitter, puts us in 2 wars, so much so that we get a recession. Obama has to come in and fix it. The economy was booming. The stock market was growing. The middle class was seeing a transfer of wealth, getting things back to normal. Trump comes in. What does he do again? Lays out more economics, damage the middle class, more tax cuts for the rich. Same thing. We were headed towards a manufacturing recession before COVID. I've said this before. COVID saved his ass. What does he do? He fucking drives the economy off a cliff. Biden comes in and fixes it. The economy's humming again. Massive investments. And then Trump's doing what he's doing now. It's the same old, same old. MAGA is a fucking lie. They've always been a lie. It's always been this push to blame every fucking body else except the people who are doing it. The same old, same old. Republicans will blame Democrats for the messes they make. Democrats fix it. The economy's humming. If Donald Trump had been reelected and had just gone and played golf and not done a damn thing, he could celebrate the economic, the boom that we were experiencing. Instead, inflation's up, unemployment's up, across the board. I just want to find this sound because it's always been about Russia. Then I'm going to play some disturbing sound from Michael Wolff for you guys, because it's more to the Epstein story, which we're not going to forget. I made that commitment to you guys, and I promise we won't forget it. All right. Let me see if I can find this. Is this the one? No. I have so much audio that I have to get to today. I mean, I could tell all of it, but I'll do my best. Senator Mike Rounds is one of the senators that was on the receiving end of this peace plan, this 28-point peace plan. Mike Rounds is a Republican. It's a bipartisan committee on the Armed Services Committee who was part of the receipt of the peace plan. I'm going to play the sound for you because it's relevant to the incompetence of our administration and how they're now caught in a lie.
Terry Rubio did make a phone call to us this afternoon. I think he made it very clear to us that we are the recipients of a proposal that was delivered to one of our representatives. It is not our recommendation. It is not our peace plan. It is a proposal that was received, and as an intermediary, we have made arrangements to share it, and we did not release it. It was leaked. It was not released by our members or our representatives.
That right there, it was a Russian drafted wish list that was translated to English and then shared with people in our Senate. Those that should be in the know. Marco Rubio, is either Marco Rubio's lying or those senators are lying. Why would those senators have a reason to lie? Marco Rubio has always been a supporter of Ukraine. And now the Russian sponsored peace plan, which basically just means Ukraine needs to bend over. It's always been about Russia. We've got Russian ties connected to the Epstein network, the financial network. We know of Donald Trump's history with Russia. We know what they're doing now. We know the concessions that he's made to them. And here we are. Here we are. So Trump had this to say about this newest negotiation. Because he's just unaware of everything that's happening around him. But here you go. This is the statement that he made. And by the way, he's now, after his meeting with Zoran, he's now wearing a scarf. When have you ever seen him wear a scarf before? I've never seen him wear a scarf. But anyway, this is now that we know this bullshit fucking deal. You know, again, Marco Rubio claiming that it was authored by he in coordination with Steve Witkoff, the negotiators. No, it was a Russian wish list for how this war is to be settled. Ukraine and its partners are like, what? So this is Trump on. Well, here you go.
It should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended. One way or the other, we have to get it ended. So then he can continue. Then he can continue to fight his little heart out.
He can continue to fight his little heart out. If I were president, this never would have happened. It's such an embarrassment. It is such an embarrassment. The world is just laughing at us because we have an incompetent leader. Incompetent. It is so sad. So sad. You have people in the administration just lying every single day. It is brutally obvious now that Marco Rubio's scrambling. He initially said it was negotiated on behalf of the United States government. The senators involved who would have been part of that negotiation would be like, no, this was given to us. This was sent to us, translated, giving up parts of the Donetsk, which is the hub. By the way, that part of Ukraine is where there's a lot of rare earth minerals. Steve Witkoff, by the way, in case you don't know, you guys know what Steve Witkoff's background is? Steve Witkoff was a negotiator for the failed ceasefire between Israel and the H group. Israel's still lobbing rockets towards Hezbollah in Lebanon, so that's not even close to being settled. Nobody ever thought it would be. 3,000 years? Yeah, bullshit. Steve Witkoff, his relationship with Trump involves real estate and development. That's it. That's it. So why do you think he would be privy to some of this information? Gee, I wonder. It's always been about Russia. It's always been about Russia and Trump. It's always been about that. We can draw the connections back to the 80s. We've been through the exercise. Read the book American Compromise if you want the story. Go ahead and read it. We know. We know how far back it goes. We know how deep it goes. We know the level to which the investments into Trump properties came from Russian banks. We know it. We know it. It's all in there. It's all in there. It all got blown up. The Steele dossier. Yeah. Even though the Steele dossier, you could question the tactics they used to get information, but it exposed the entire thing. We know how deep the fucking money train goes. It's always been them. It's always been them. It's always been, here we are. It's just so fucking obvious now. The Russian authored peace plan. Follow the money. The Russian authored peace plan to settle the war that Russia illegally invaded. It's always been them. It's always. Why do you think that president gets so triggered when he talks about Russia, Russia, Russia all the time? Why do you think he gets so upset? So there's a True Social page. Oh, Char, thank you for Char. You're very sweet. Thank you for your $50 on the Green app. I appreciate you very, very much, Char. Thank you so very much. Rhonda, thank you for kicking off the dollar challenge for the day. I appreciate you. Savage, I think I got you. Thank you for your kindness and your support as always. So the president losing his fucking mind on Russia, on True Social. By the way, he I tend to look at his the time of the night sometimes that he posts, and he goes on these rants. It's getting a lot worse recently. Is it really possible that big progress is being made in peace talks between Russia and Ukraine? Don't believe it until you see it, but something good must be happening. God bless America. There's another one here, though, that is extremely wild. If I can find it. Keep tapping and sharing, friends. It's True Social is just one big fucking ad. It's so disturbing. There's so many posts about the sedition, and he's still kind of holding on to that because he's got nothing else to do, apparently, because he doesn't want people to be paying attention to the laws that he's breaking on daily. So he's going to try to find somebody else to blame. He puts pictures up of the members of Congress, right? That should go. Meanwhile, they've been recipients of bomb threats. They've had to increase their security. It's a fucking shit show. Let me see if I have that. I just want to read it. I just want to read it to you because it's one of these things that we have to just, inside the mind of the president. There's a lot of room in there, I should say. Do I still have it? Hang on. There's so much. Apologies, guys. Wait a minute. Did I do this? He's still talking about it in terms of not, it's not him, of course. It's somebody else. Not me, it's you. Well, I don't know. I'll find it. It's just one of his many fucking word vomits. The one out the door. Let me bring up. It's an interesting username. Okay. Okay. Seraphim, how are you this morning? Seraphim? Hello? Hello? Seraphim going once? Seraphim going twice? All right. Anyway, the argument that I've made from the beginning of this entire thing with Trump has been he's a Russian asset, Russian puppet. You can call it whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. He is doing everything he can. Meanwhile, his poll numbers are just tanking. 25% from a Fox News poll about how the nation views the economic conditions right now. It's just one thing after another, and it's Russia. They're behind all of it. They've gone on the record saying that part of what Epstein uncovered was the communications between various Russian envoys. The whole Bubba tape, all these kinds of things. All these kinds of shit. It's always been about them, which then brings us back to why MAGA, in my opinion, is fake news, because they talk about being the party of America first. Every single thing that we've seen since Trump's been in office, every opportunity he's had to defer to Russia, he's done it. We see it over and over and over again. We'll get into that a little bit more in a second. I want to shift gears a little bit to I'm going to play some disturbing audio from Michael Wolff. Michael Wolff, the more and more we see Michael Wolff, the more and more we need to have him sit down in front of Congress. I don't think he's going to get subpoenaed, quite frankly. I don't think Republicans are going to want him to come down and go on the record. But this is a pretty disturbing story. Trigger warnings in advance, because this is some pretty graphic shit. This is a conversation about back in the days of his marriage with Marla. Okay? So I'm going to remind people that this is some trigger warnings. It's a pretty grim story, but I'm going to play it for you. So here you go.
Story, and all trigger warnings ought to apply. CNN has uncovered video of Jeffrey Epstein and Donald.
Hold on a second. Must have restarted it here. Hold on.
Grim story, and all trigger warnings ought to apply. CNN video of Jeffrey Epstein at Donald Trump's 1993 wedding to Marla Maples. I have a backstory about that, because Epstein and Trump at this period the closest of friends, and when Marla Maples came to Donald Trump and said she was pregnant, he panicked, and he went to his friend Epstein and said, "What am I going to do? She says she's pregnant and she's going to have the baby. I'm going to have to marry her." I mean, I think it's important to note how much these guys lived in another time. I mean, this is a conversation that could have taken place. Such conversations did take place in the 1950s. And Epstein said, continuing this in the 1950s vein, "She's lying to you. She's just trying to get you to marry her." And then they went through a long discussion about how he could figure out if this was a lie. But in fact, he ultimately went to the doctor with Marla Maples, and indeed she was pregnant, putting him into a bigger panic. And he went back to Epstein and says, "Now what do I do?" And Trump said, "What if I pushed her down the stairs?" And Epstein said, "Well, you could murder her and then you would go to jail. Or perhaps even worse, nothing would happen, but you would have pushed her down the stairs, and when the divorce happens, that would be something she could testify to in court." As I say, grim. And just let me add that one of Donald Trump's main political tropes is always the American flag, to such an extent that it is as though he owns the American flag. So let's just take it back.
I'll remind you that Ivana, his first wife, fell down the stairs. So this is Michael Wolff's claim. As we always do here, we only report on what we know. So Michael Wolff has gone on the record. Michael Wolff knows more about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump than probably anybody because of the amount of time that he has spent with both of them investigating. So you heard it. Can't I just push her down the stairs? But I'm sure that that's fake news too, right, MAGA? I'm sure that's just fake news. I don't know. I don't know where this is why when I talk about the layers of the story, it's really hard to cover, you know, all the details connected to the Epstein files, because it is so fucking deep. It is so deep. It involves so many things. It is grim. It is diabolical. It is nefarious. It is just horrible. And this is the person that 78 million Americans voted for. No, it was an interview that Michael Wolff had done with both of them in conversations. Again, it's Michael Wolff, right? I want him to testify. We're only reporting on what we know. Like, for example, there's been a rumor flying around that Erica Kirk is pregnant. We don't know. It's been debunked, right? But there's a rumor that Erica Kirk is pregnant. There's a rumor that Usha Vance is not wearing her wedding ring. This is the problem in this day and age. This is why we work really hard to try to connect the dots for you. And I will always premise things that I state with "this is my opinion" or "from what I've read." We are only sharing it. I'm not stating anything as fact, and I'm not stating anything that Michael Wolff said as fact. But he goes on the record often. He makes public statements often. And from what he has said before the Oversight Committee released the documents that they have, was 100% on point. 100% on point. Everything that he claimed showed up in these emails. So what he's saying about what Trump said about his first wife? Can I just push her down the stairs? Oh, now she's pregnant. Oh gosh, I really need to push her down the stairs. I don't want anything to do with that. Keep in mind, Marla is the daughter of Tiffany. There was that infamous interview that Trump and Marla did in Trump Tower in his apartment with Robin Leach from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. He commented on Tiffany's legs and breasts when she... MAGA is fake news. The entire fucking thing has been the biggest grift, arguably in global history, because of the how deep down the criminality and the fraud and the corruption goes. Yeah, Tiffany is the daughter. I know that. She's Marla and Donald's daughter. I know that. But where's my source for what? The statement that I just played? I just played it for you. It's Michael Wolff talking about it. And this is the problem. This is the problem with our friends on the right, is you're unwilling to put all these pieces together. Any one or two of these things would require most people who have any credibility to say, that's fucking wild. I'd like to know more about that. Instead, what MAGA does, yeah, Marla's the what? Did I say it backwards? Yeah, Marla's Tiffany's mom, Donald's second wife, who he cheated on Ivana with. And then Melania's who he cheated on Marla with. So, yeah. And again, going back to what we learned earlier, states who claim to be the most religious also have the highest rates of violent crime, crimes against women, poverty, divorce. 2 presidents that I know of have been divorced. Reagan and Trump. But family values, right? How then do you square this, Christians, those that support Trump? We know you don't have the moral high ground at all. You can't say you voted for him because of your economic output, although you claim to be. Let me back up a second. I did a video on Saturday because of a live that I was in on Saturday morning. Conservatives, Trump supporters, and those people who prescribe to that theory are the most selfish fucks I've never met in my life. They are so fucking selfish. It shows up every time I talk to them. I don't give a shit about people having health care. It's about my money. I don't give a fuck. I don't want any of them to have any of it. And these same people, you'll be talking to them, they'll have their cross on. These same people who say that they care about kids don't give a fuck. You don't care about any of them. We talk about, you guys know this, I truly believe that healthcare is a human right. They don't. They don't care. They don't give a shit. They just do not care about their fellow man. They just don't. So when we play these kinds of things, they're unwilling to hold the mirror up and say, Jesus, if any of what Michael Wolff just said is true, that he wanted to push his second wife down the stairs, what most people would be like, I'd like to learn more about that. Holy fuck. Instead, no, he's lying. He's lying. Trump never said this. Trump never said that. Witch hunt, fake news, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's why MAGA's fake news. You'll never see the truth. Ever. 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 You'll sit there and you'll be lied to every single day, and you like mainline it like it's your fucking kink. You got to get off on this shit. It's so wild. Like, get a fucking life. Get a fucking hobby. Maybe get a pet. And actually don't. Don't get a pet. Don't get a pet. I know, everything is a witch hunt. Exactly. It's to take it out of context. I was thinking about that because of Russia, Ukraine, right? Because of this whole story comes up. And we're going to play some sound from Eugene Vindman about an infamous phone call that he heard with MBS. Remember, he's the guy that was the whistleblower on the first Trump impeachment because of the threats, the coercion, the violation of his duty, withholding money from our congressionally approved. I think they were Javelin missiles to go to Ukraine. So this goes back a long time. And then what the right tried to do is try to say, well, Joe Biden is the one who did that. So I went back into the archives, as they say, and I found the infamous interview that Joe Biden did when he was serving as the vice president of the United States at the time. Not the president, the VP. Just so we're clear. not the president, the VP. He was working in his capacity as the vice president under the direction of the Obama administration, and what the foreign policy was towards Ukraine. I have it somewhere. Well, first, let me do this. Let me paint the picture for you. So this is Mr. Vindman talking about this infamous phone call that he overheard in his duty as an intelligence officer.
Of a transcript of a call between President Trump and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia back in 2019. What was so damning?
Yeah, so look, there are transcripts of the president's calls with foreign leaders. I reviewed a number of different transcripts of these calls during the first Trump administration. There were two that stood out to me. One was the Ukraine call, and obviously we know that the actions in that call result in the president's first impeachment. The second was this call with the Saudi Crown Prince. It happened after the brutal murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a Washington Post reporter, a resident of Virginia, and by reports from U.S. intelligence services on the orders of MBS Mohammed bin Salman to kill or capture him. And it was a brutal murder. There was audio of the murder. You could hear Mr. Khashoggi being killed.
F1.
And the president is basically covering for him. And so I will just say that subsequent to the time period of the call, the president has on the record saying he covered MBS's ass. And in the ensuing 6 years, he and his family have profited enormously. And so those 6 years, you can say that's the pro quo. And where exactly did the quid stem from? I think maybe looking at the call could be a good start.
Yeah, let's get the transcript. If you're the most transparent presidency, according to Caroline Leavitt, right? If you're the most transparent, yeah, exactly. How is that not sedition? Exactly. So is that fake news? Is that fake news too? Is this guy just out for his own personal gain? Is this also fake news? Okay, then prove it. If I were accused of crimes, if I were accused of these kinds of things, and I had information to make it go away, to confirm my innocence, I'd be the first one in line. But they won't. What has Trump been talking to MBS about? Investments for the Trump family in Saudi Arabia, backed by oil money. Who also gets oil money? Russia. I'm not making this shit up, you guys. You can follow the fucking money. You can draw straight lines to all of it. How deep this corruption goes. MBS, okay, who absolutely orchestrated the unaliving of Jamal Khashoggi. No doubt about it. MBS, Saudi money funded Al-Qaeda, 9/11. Where are you fucking patriots? Why are you not fucking disgusted by this shit? Do you think that that's not true? Do you think that Saudi oil money did not fund 9/11? Really? Do you really think that? Then explain to us, because we've been told that you guys are patriots. Explain to us why you're okay with MBS sitting in the Oval Office. While a week prior, an actual jihadist, President al-Shara of Syria, who was on the FBI's most wanted list just weeks before, to the tune of $10 million, who led an al-Qaeda brigade in Iraq that was part of a beheading campaign for American military while they were there serving. None of you have said a damn word about it. Not one. Why is that? Why is that? Why have none of you said a damn word? But you were concerned that Zohran Mamdani was a jihadist. President didn't think so. Not at all. They're bromance. He's now stylizing himself after Mamdani's scarf look. Where are you, patriots, MAGA? Because you're fake too. Trump supporters and MAGA, fake. We know now that, again, I talked about this earlier, about how Elon Musk turned on their location services for their accounts. And we learned some of the larger MAGA accounts on X aren't even here. They're offshore. Where are you, America Firsters? Why haven't you showed up? It's weird. If I had all this information, I certainly know that I would want to get out ahead of it, but apparently not. So I want to go back to what I was talking about earlier about how the Biden administration or Joe Biden was accused of all kinds of weird fucking shit connected to the corruption in Ukraine. And the argument that the right wants to make, well, I'll play the sound first. So again, Joe Biden at this particular time in 2019, when he was serving as vice president under Barack Obama, okay? That's when he was serving as vice president under the Obama administration. They're serving as an emissary to the Ukrainian government as a representative of our country under the direction of the president. And this is the sound.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't.
That state prosecutor who was not investigating corruption, who was sent there, who was literally a Russian fucking puppet. Okay.
So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
So there you go. So there's the story, MAGA. You probably don't know that, do you? Because you're not told that. The United States, along with other world leaders, were looking at these Russian-planted leaders, prosecutors, presidents, period, that were completely corrupt in and throughout the upper levels of the Ukrainian government, period. Joe Biden, on behalf of the Obama administration, says you're not going to get this unless you fire that fucking guy. So the right twisted that to say, oh, no, he wanted him fired because he was investigating Burisma. No, it's the exact opposite. This is the evidence. This is why we tell you guys are fake news. Because you will twist things to try to support your argument as best you possibly can. And every single day, it falls flat on your face. It's always been Russia. Always will be Russia. Russian propaganda on the floor of the United States House, Russian propaganda on the floor of the United States Senate, Russian propaganda coming from the Oval Office, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're right, D. He wasn't investigating the corruption. That's why he got fired. To support white supremacy? Sure. To support racism? Because somebody said earlier, racism is expensive. But here you are, MAGA. Here you are. Literally being lied to every single day. When the president says, what news agency are you from? Oh, fake news. What are you so afraid of? What are they so afraid of? Are you afraid of having your entire identity just blown up in your face? Why? Russia has absolutely been real, and it's always been real. That's why the president brings it up as much as he can. It's a deflection tactic. The more he tells his people that it's Russia was a hoax, the more they'll want him to believe him. Like everything else. Like everything else. Speaking of hoaxes, this is Caroline Leavitt. Just a few days ago. She's got a lot of explaining to do.
Epstein's story sort of evolved over the past week. It's classic Washington hoax.
Yes.
You have Democrats on the Oversight Committee leaking redacted information to their favorite reporter at CNN.
Okay, let's pause. Let me pause right there. The Oversight Committee's agreement was that any names would be redacted. That was what they had all come to the agreement, that any information any information released would redact the names of survivors' victims. They follow the protocol. Caroline Levitt wants to try to change the story. Why would you try to change the story about something like that? You know why? Because she knows that their voters, their supporters, are too stupid to know any better. They'll just believe it.
Sort of evolved over the past week. It's classic Washington hoax.
Yes.
You have Democrats on the Oversight Committee leaking redacted information to their favorite reporter at CNN, who then pops the story with that redacted information and does not reveal that the unredacted version is available. And the unredacted version proves that the so-called victim in this email is a woman who is unfortunately deceased, but prior to her death, said on numerous occasions that President Trump never did anything wrong and was always incredibly friendly in her interactions with him. And so it's a purposeful leak to
never mind the thousands of other women, right? Never mind any of them, but we'll just believe her. Got it. So that's the one woman you're going to believe? Okay.
Try to manufacture this news cycle to drag the president. And we've seen this play out so many times. It is a classic playbook of the Democrats using their friends in the fake news to spin up a narrative about the president. And so we just don't tolerate it. We don't give in. We just call it out for what it is. And we move on and we focus on the issues that we know the president was elected on. And I would just add one more thing on Epstein. I mean, the Department of Justice has turned over tens of thousands of pages to the House Oversight Committee and to the American people. I mean, they released everything that's legally releasable online.
That's another lie.
Or to the House Oversight Committee. They also tried to move grand juries to unseal documents in various states, and unfortunately those judges declined, and they've been fully
That's another lie.
Cooperating with the House Oversight Committee. So this
And that's another lie.
Idea that there's files that the DOJ is hiding or that this administration is not being transparent is just totally false. It's a fallacy. And I understand people have questions, and when you're on the outside, you're skeptical of government, and people should be. But there is literally nothing to hide. And President Trump has maintained that this entire time. And so, again, this is a classic playbook being run by the Democrats.
Nothing to hide? The bulk of what the Department of Justice has released, by the way, we have had already. Somebody made a comment earlier about how, hold on, hi Kipper, how you doing, buddy? Hello. Hello, bud. Hello. Good boy. Move over there. Go. Thank you. As I was saying, the Department of Justice, a lot of the information we have already has already been released by the DOJ. That's why the need for the discharge petition. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well in just a minute. But somebody made the comment about how Caroline looks a lot like Ivanka. Well, again, Michael Wolff being interviewed on this podcast called Inside Trump's Head. I'm just going to play this for you because this is really kind of disturbing. But it speaks to what we were just discussing, and the look, whether you call it the Mar-a-Lago look or similarities to certain people in Trump's life. Again, this is a little disturbing, but I think it's necessary to listen to it.
Version of Melania. I mean, Melania seems ageless, and as you wrote in your Substack column, she actually has an unknowableness about her that lends itself to now being her brand.
Ivanka slips in here too. It's all.
So this is Michael Wolff again.
There's a lot of plastic surgery so that they can all look the same, but it is very much an attention. You're in this as a role. When I first sat in, I think I've told this story before, when I was in the White House in 2017, sitting there every day, and I would see these women come by, all who were dressed the same, short pencil skirts. This was in the winter, high boots, and everybody's hair was saying, God knows I could have missed some fashion trend, but I said, is this unusual? yes, she said this would be very unusual if they are all in this singular mode.
It slightly reminds me of the Robert Palmer video, Addicted to Love, where he has, you probably don't remember this, but he has like 12 women all dressed in black, hair scraped back, big red lips, playing guitars. It's an iconic video, and I urge everybody to watch it if they haven't. It's so good. But he's surrounded by these sort of political groupies. They all look the same. What is the signaling here that he is younger and more virile than he actually is, or virile, as you would say?
I think part of it is that they are available to me. That's what he wants people to think. And there's an interesting thing that happened in the release of these emails, because an email from me to Epstein showed up, and it was so in 2018. Epstein and Bannon were obsessed with the fact, this was over the Christmas holidays, so I think it was leading into 2019, that Trump did not go to Mar-a-Lago. He stayed in the White House.
And so this was for the holidays, for Christmas?
Yes, and he told people he was staying there because he was, and I quote, banging his assistant.
That was called out in one of the emails that Trump had said he decided to stay behind because he claimed that he was banging one of his assistants. Okay.
And so Epstein.
Family values, though, right? Cool.
And Bannon, and Epstein was talking to Tom Barrack at the time, who was, a key Trump confidant.
And now an ambassador.
Yes, they were all in a flutter about this. And in this email to Epstein from me reveals the name of the person, which it shouldn't have been revealed. And in the book that I wrote, this was my second book about Trump's siege, I don't include the name of the person because it was never clear that he was banging the assistant. The only thing that was clear is that he was telling people he was banging the assistant. Even that term, banging someone, when was that last used?
Well, it's such a sort of weird, almost 1970s, Wall Street sort of braggadocious machismo that's just very unappealing.
Fraternity, it's a word. All of this has long since passed out of the vernacular and the modern sensibility. But there he was saying this, and all of the people who were somewhat in touch with him aflutter about this, and no one, and even then, no one entirely convinced that this was true, but certain that he was. I mean, yes, because they had been directly told, "I'm banging the assistant," with enormous pride. I mean, that's and that in itself is an old fraternity thing of people wanting you to believe that they were having sex with someone when,
well, with someone 40 years younger, and especially interesting if, as you say, there are people in the White House who assume that Trump is actually post-sex now, and especially because Melania doesn't appear to be around.
I mean, the man whose life has been obsessed with women, and I mean, a lot of women who I think we do understand he was banging, whether they were willing or not to be banged. And then he arrives at he gets older. I mean, he's old.
Trump 79 with cankles and bruises on his hands.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Bannon was, even the Stormy Daniels thing with Trump always saying he didn't have sex. Absolutely denying this. And how could he have done that? And then Bannon would say, well, a failure to launch. So whatever he arrives at, he is at an advanced age, but I think it remains enormously important to him to be seen as the guy the women are around. He's irresistible.
Look like a much younger.
So. Gosh, there's so much to unpack there. The thing, we've talked about the Mar-a-Lago makeover in the past, but if you look at some of the people that are in prominent positions around him, Pam Bondi, Caroline Leavitt. In the past, it was Kellyanne Conway. It was, who was it? Kayleigh McEnany. What do they have in common? Blonde hair. Similar looks to Ivanka. I'm just saying, right? This is the reporting that we have here. He sees himself as this Laura Trump. Yeah. Erica Kirk. It's a new name that we can add to the list, or as in his words, like to his stable. He surrounds himself with these young, attractive women who fit a particular type, so that he can see himself as something that he's not and never has been. Pam Bondi, yep. So look at some of the names that have been mentioned of some of the people that he's assaulted. Blonde, right? There's a pattern. You know, life exists in a series of patterns, and there's a pattern. But again, MAGA will say this is just fake news. Now, again, this is just Michael Wolff's reporting, but the questions that he asks are fair. Katie Johnson. Blondism. Yeah, blondism. Okay. I'm just reporting on what we know. Yeah, they're all hit pieces on the guy. Right, totally. Yep. See what I mean? MAGA's fake news. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Where it gets weird, though, is the people that are covering for him. It's the same in the way in which they cover for him, right? It's everybody else that is to blame for all of this. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Stylish is right. Every damn thing can't all be fake news. So that's why MAGA is fake. Because unless the president tells them it's true, then it's fake. So the president telling them that the gas prices are down when they're not. The president telling them that grocery prices are down. Grocery is an old-fashioned word. The grocery prices are down, but they're not. The president telling them that Zohran Mamdani is a communist jihadist who's going to ruin New York, and even in that interview, is like, I don't know, I like the guy. And then MAGA has to pivot around it in some way to try to say, wait, we were told 2 weeks ago that this guy is a threat. And now the president says he's okay? Okay, I guess he's okay then. So, and then that leads into the economic piece, right? Actually, since we're on this particular topic and we're talking about moral character and the party of Christian values and how that they believe they're on the right side of history because of their faith, trigger warnings, because there's a text exchange that happened between RFK and someone, Olivia Nuzzi, who he was cheating on his wife with, Cheryl Hines. And there's felching. If you don't know what that means, I would caution you to look it up, but you could do it. It was referenced in this. So you all should brace yourself for some of the things I'm about to read. This is a poem that RFK wrote to the woman he's having an affair with. Okay? The gossip frenzy around HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy's relationship with journalist Olivia Nuzzi has taken a poetic turn. On Saturday, Nuzzi's ex-fiancé, fellow high-profile journalist Ryan Lizza, published the second part of a Substack series outlining the breakdown of their relationship. Lizza partially attributes the erosion of the relationship to Nuzzi's romance with Kennedy. In the piece, Lizza shared an undated note he said Kennedy sent to Nuzzi, noting that Nuzzi had characterized it as a poem. But what's in a name? Here's what the alleged message. This is what the message said. Okay. Quote, this is from RFK to Olivia Nuzzi, Ryan Nuzzi's wife at the time. RFK was married to Cheryl Hines at the time. Quote, Your open mouth awaiting my harvest, Kennedy said. Drink from me, love. The message went on to say, quote, I mean to squeeze your cheeks to force open your mouth. I'll hold your nose as you look up at me to encourage you to swallow. Don't spill a drop. I am a river. You are my canyon. I mean to flow through you. I mean to subdue and tame you, my love. So the party of morality, the party of Christian values, this is what we're talking about. I don't do whatever the fuck you want in your private life. I don't care. Knock yourself out. If that's your kink, go for it. Don't care. Somebody just said, taste the rainbow. Oh my God. That's not the issue for me. The issue is the hypocrisy. Multiple affairs, questions about psychedelic use in the White House currently as he's serving as a cabinet member. So, again, MAGA is fake news. What was the word to look up? Felching. I've warned you. I have warned you. It's referenced. Neither Nuzzi nor Kennedy immediately responded to a request for comment on the poem. According to Liza, it was one of many poems, some of which were too explicit to print. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend yeah. Again, I share this with you, friends, because of the hypocrisy that comes from the Christian right. This is what we're talking about. They're supposed to, they talk this is why MAGA's fake. They talk every single day about how we need God. Oh, really? Then why is it that you lead in poverty, domestic violence cases per state, divorce rates? The only two presidents that have been divorced are Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan. Sure, Clinton was a womanizer piece of shit. Sir JFK was a womanizer piece of shit. No doubt about it. And then you got RFK, the Maha movement. Apparently, RFK wants to make sure he knows exactly what goes into your food. I'll just leave that right there. But people in the MAGA cult who believe that Donald Trump is the second coming, want people to believe that he is the one that's going to guide you through your battles with immorality. And these are the people that he has in his cabinet. A certain 35-year-old individual paid an underage girl $400 to have schmex with him who was happened to be houseless. Those accusations were known, and Matt Gaetz was still nominated to be the Attorney General. This is who they are. Why'd I do this to you? I'm sorry, but it's necessary because this is important. This is who they are. This is who these people are. Thank you to, hang on one second. Jennifer, thank you so very, very much. Kelly, thank you for the 5-0, for everything you do daily. I appreciate you, Kelly. That's very kind. Jennifer, thank you. Thank you for being a lighthouse in the red storm. Thank you, Jennifer. That's very kind of you. I appreciate you very much. We can bang this out today, guys. When people look back at this time, yeah, it's not the kink. Bang it out. That's right. It's not the kink. It's not the kink. Believe me, I've got some of my own, but it's not the kink. It's the hypocrisy. Thank you for mentioning that. It's literally not the kink. It's the hypocrisy. Do whatever the fuck you want. Seriously, do whatever. I wish people, to be honest, I wish people had a hell of a lot more sex and had a lot more kinks. I think we'd all be happier. Seriously. Spoken like somebody who's single. I'm just saying. But it's the hypocrisy. It's the fucking nonsense. It's the bullshit. It's Mike Johnson, bitch boy, and his claims about having to have his son be his corn partner. How can people who claim to be the party of the moral majority, so concerned about men and women's sports, transgender for everyone? Yeah, exactly, with other consenting adults, exactly. And here we are. Donald Trump, multiple womanizer, abuser, multiple divorces, and RFK. I won't get into it. He is married. He is married. But you guys are fine with that, aren't you? Yes, you are. I warned you about felching. I'll probably never say it again. I did warn you, though. And then Caroline with a whole quiet piggy comment. Caroline, literally, in trying to justify things Donald said about another woman, being transparent, not how horrible it was, but hey, he's just telling it like it is. Okay. I'm going to talk about Stephen Miller a little bit, because I think we talk in this space often about how, at least in my opinion, Stephen Miller is literally behind everything. He's behind the pulling of the strings. He's the one that is, in my opinion, is the I don't want to say the blood of the MAGA movement. It's his hate that we see often. It's his bullshit. It's his nonsense. It's his rhetoric that we hear often. So this is how he got his start in Washington.
Stephen Miller goes to work in Jeff Sessions' office. He rises very, very, in part because he is able to master and channel Jeff Sessions' voice to become a kind of medium for Jeff Sessions. And he is also extremely instrumental in putting together a kind of book of ideas and messaging and talking points against the comprehensive immigration bill, that was proposed and pushed forward by the so-called Gang of Eight. And people who worked on the immigration bill at the time said that he was very key to sinking it, because he was very proactive and aggressive in helping Republicans behind the scenes get their messaging right, get everybody on the same page, and make sure that this thing failed.
The booklet itself, what was it basically about? Why was it important?
So the book that Stephen Miller put together in that immigration fight, I think, is kind of a metaphor for something else. He started on the fringes of the right when he was growing up out in liberal Santa Monica, and absorbed a lot of the things that were starting to be said about immigration back in those days. And then when he got to Washington, he got to Jeff Sessions' office, he started kind of building a network of anti-immigrant, nativist, populist pundits, politicians, people like Tucker Carlson, Ann Coulter, Laura Ingraham, Lou Dobbs, and bringing them together into a kind of more powerful coalition that could broadcast and trumpet this message. And in the same way, he was also coalescing a kind of an ideological playbook about the crime that immigrants bring, about the way they depress wages, about how they change the culture of America and make it unrecognizable to the Americans who were born here. So he is in some ways a collator, both of people and ideas, that becomes I think very instrumental, because when you can give people just a ready-made playbook, a ready-made playbook that they can just, flip open to and see all the stats that he has pulled together from some very kind of fringe or right-wing sources, it's much easier than having to go dig it up yourself. He was able to get a lot of people on the same page very quickly.
Give me the reputation of Sessions in the Senate. Who is he, and what's his reputation?
So at the time, Jeff Sessions was, the senator from Alabama, who I think was often made fun of for the way he talked.
Yeah. So when we talk about this in terms of MAGA being fake news, right? It's one person's racist, bigoted, homophobic, transphobic tendencies that fuels the entire administration's economic policy, domestic policy, et cetera. Him being Stephen Miller, right? He says, Stephen, we do not claim because he spells it with a PH. Due respect, but seriously. Anywho, that's who he is. So you can look at executive orders, you can look at elements of Project 2025. It is Stephen Miller, right? He's the one he's the one that sort of puts all the pieces together. So MAGA's fake news because none of the things that he believes are true. Immigrants don't commit crimes like white people do, not even close. Immigrants are a boom to our economy. We have to have them. So MAGA's fake news. They will literally believe anything because they are told to. Fear is a difficult hurdle to get past, right? And for those psychologists in the house, I'm not one, but this kind of, as I've studied this shit, when you scare someone enough for whatever reason, which is weird, the mediocre MAGA men who are afraid of everything, they're afraid of their goddamn shadows. What are they afraid of? They're afraid of rainbows. They're afraid of Bud Light. They're afraid of Target. You know the list. They're afraid of fucking everything. Everything. The alphas, right? The truck nut polishers. They're literally afraid of everything. So when you cap nail polish, good call. Tampons. Exactly. When you can convince them to be afraid of one more thing, it makes it easier. It's blue hair. It makes it easier for them to continue to be afraid of your message. So they're told, Dr. Seuss, rainbows, exactly. When they're told to be afraid of immigrants because immigrants are a threat. Women, definitely afraid of women. Message to the queens. They're afraid of you guys. Use that. Anyway, so when Stephen Miller creates these, whether it be part of the Great Replacement theory, or your economic ruin is at the hands of marginalized communities, or you have to be afraid of immigrants because of crime, they're all fears. It's all fear. It's all fear-based. It's all fake news. They're all lies. All of it. Every little bit of it. They're all fucking lies. Sesame Street, I know, public broadcasting. They're afraid of Bob Ross. What's the matter, buddy? Come here. They're afraid of Bob Ross and the happy tree. Here's a little happy tree. We'll put a little happy tree right here. I think Bob Ross goes off camera, takes a big bong hit, comes back and says, a little more happy trees. Happy tree here. They're afraid of that shit. They're afraid of all of it. It's so fucking terrifying. These Bert and Ernie. Hey, Bert. They're afraid of all smart people, right? And if I haven't said women, I'll say it again. Women, for sure. They put themselves in this position where it's so easy to convince them because, especially, again, MAGA men, the biggest babies I have ever seen in my life, have every fucking privilege afforded to them. White men in general. White men in general have more privilege. White men in America have more privilege than any society on earth anywhere. Am I wrong about that? I mean, I'm not talking about being born into royalty in general, but they've got more privilege than any fucking group there is. And they complain about everything. So fucking weak, such fucking cowards, biggest fucking babies, and they'll whine and complain about everything. Meanwhile, they get outworked, they get out-earned, they get out-respected, and here they are, continuing to complain. Because Stephen Miller knows that. Stephen Miller's not stupid. He knows. I'm going to give them more people to hate. I'm going to crank up the hatred on women, marginalized communities, the trans community. I'm just going to crank it up. Because these people will just believe anything I'll tell them. Because everything we tell them is just not true, but they're too stupid. Consent, good call. Afraid of consent. You're right, Hector. Good call. Sadly. What are you doing? Hey, come here. Hey. Hang on a second. Hey, come here. Kipper. Hey, come here. Dude. Go. Thank you. No. No. Out. Out. Sorry. You're done. We had an incident with the cat last night. The cat took out a mouse. And in the area that he was just digging over there, I feel like he might have, maybe there was a part that I didn't necessarily clean up. So he had to be removed. Anyway, we see it all the time. They will lose their mind. They can't debate. They can't go into a space and just try to learn something because they're weak, because they're scared, because they're soft, and they can't handle themselves, and they don't know what to do. And they literally don't know what to do. So they act out. And then it just shows us, the rest of us, how weak they are. Thank you, Hector. Okay. A few more things I wanted to play this morning. Let's is this one I want to cover? We're speaking of Christians. So here you go. I know who this gentleman is, and I lost his name, and I wrote it down someplace, and I can't figure out where I put it. I'll play it for you. But it speaks to exactly what we've been talking about all morning.
Asking our right-wing loved ones, what Jesus teaching does Donald Trump and MAGA fight for? Because I haven't actually found it yet.
Yeah. Well, why do you think that is? You articulate the teachings of Jesus as inherently progressive teachings.
Word of God him killed, yeah.
Yeah. Now, why do you think the left isn't able to utilize that?
I wish I knew, because there's so many progressive Christians who pay attention to what the guy actually says. You look at Matthew 25, right? That's Jesus giving his marching orders. The night he's arrested, it's just a stranger and you took me in, I was hungry and you fed me. He gives 4 criteria for what Christians or a Christian society will have to do. And it's to individuals and nations. And it's take care of the poor, take care of the sick, welcome the stranger, and be kind to those in prison. Nothing about screaming at women outside clinics, nothing about being mean to trans kids, nothing about believing in a talking snake. Jesus gives his marching orders right there.
Where is that stuff? That's in Genesis,
That's
right?
in Genesis.
Yeah.
But it's why you'll never see the right wing fight to put a Jesus quote on a building, on a courthouse, or on a classroom wall.
Yeah.
They don't do it. They don't follow the guy. They worship him, because that's a lot easier than following his inconveniently woke teachings.
What?
It's not wrong. He's not wrong. And here we are. Hey, Cece. Good to see you. So everything to me, it becomes, again, it's all about, it's how fake they are. The entire MAGA America First movement is fake. All of it. It's never been anything other than a grift. They're going to try to justify their hatred towards people because of what? Why do you hate women so much? I'd love to unpack that. Somebody can solve that, you're going to make billions of dollars. Why do weak ass mediocre men hate women so much? Are they a threat to you? They're smarter than you. Jesus. They're smarter than you are. They're tougher than you are. They can do more than you can. They're going to accomplish more in life. You're intimidated by them. Yet they're the threat. You're the threat. So here we sit. 4 days before Thanksgiving. Right? Your family's gonna gather around stuffing and whatever else. I'm having Chinese food. That's what I'm doing. I'm watching football all day. And you're gonna get back together with your cousins who you haven't seen in a while, and maybe your family has been, separated because of politics. And you're gonna get back together, and one of your nieces is going to challenge you on something, weak ass MAGA men, right? They're going to say, "Well, are you going to wear your red hat to Thanksgiving to make a statement?" Probably. And what's going to happen? You're the one that's going to be shunned, not them. Speaking of that, just so you guys know, Vermont is not immune from idiots. So I was getting coffee, and this person walked out of the store and said, unvaccinated employee of the month. Okay. So I had to take the opportunity. A couple questions, sir. Would you mind if I talk to you on camera? And he didn't even bother to try to engage. I think he knew that I was going to call his shit out. And he said, F you, F slur. That's what he said to me. They're out there everywhere, right? These people are out there everywhere. They're fake. They're not real. They have been lied to. They are suckers. They are gullible. They don't know anything about anything other than their own hatred. Oh, I call that shit all the time, Brian. I generally don't bring my phone out with me. I usually have it in the car. It just happened to take a picture and, want to have that conversation. I do that stuff all the time. We're not immune. We're not immune up here. We're not immune. Vermont, as great as it is, there's pockets everywhere. My biggest thing would be like, you literally choose to wear that sweatshirt out in public? That's what I wanted to ask him. And I think he knew it, right? I think he knew it. You're right. Anger rules their world because they live in an environment that is fake. Everything around them is fake. This fantasy that they've created in their mind, that the threat to their way of life, their mediocrity. You're right. Like it's a flex. Like the threat to their mediocrity are women, black and brown people, the educated, the disabled community. Why are those people threats? They're mad. Are they? Yeah, it's a good point. They're mad because they know that their hatred. I don't know. Maybe. I don't. It's just such a weird thing. Such a weird thing. Their hatred for people. They live in this environment of fake news. Their entire existence is based off a fucking lie. All of it. They accuse the left of identity politics. There is no bigger example of identity politics than weak-ass white MAGA men. Their entire identity is connected to it. All of it. All of it. Their daily lives. Their daily lives revolve around mediocrity. They need somebody else to blame. They need somebody else to justify their mediocrity. And it's because they're fucking lazy, they're entitled, they're pathetic. I've never seen a bigger group of babies in my fucking life than that crop of babies. I'm not too intelligent. I'm not too intelligent. At least you spelled your right. Spider-Man, come and talk to me. I just sent you an invite because I'm curious. Because I think I'm pretty damn smart. Just saying. But you probably won't come up. You don't want to talk to me. I wouldn't either. Good morning, sir. No jokes today, please. Thank you. Appreciate you.
It's fine.
Thank you very much.
No, you said something that really struck me when you said they are fighting for their mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
And then and of course, when you are mediocre, everything, you're going down the list of everything they're afraid of. Well, the reality is it's everything. Every single thing on the planet is terrifying to someone who is mediocre. Everything.
It's true.
And instead of striving to not be mediocre anymore, they will rest in their mediocrity and chastise everything else.
Correct.
Instead of being willing to learn, I will sit here in my ignorance because I don't want people to think I'm stupid. So I'll get on my soapbox and pump my fist in the air and no, you're the dumb ones. I mean, it's It's elementary school. It's, you're not very bright. No, you're not very bright. It's like, oh my God, here we go. Why would you fight for mediocrity?
Well, yeah, I mean, well, that's what it feels like. I mean, I know that just kind of spewed out, but that's what it feels like. They're fighting for mediocrity, not fighting to make your life better. You're looking for other people to blame for what you don't have in your life. Period. I know you. You've been busting your ass your whole life. I have as well. I'm proud of what I've accomplished, even though I don't have much. It is, but that's what you do. But yet, seems like the weak ass MAGA men who shroud their hatred in their faith will just complain about the things that they don't have, and yet they want to blame somebody else for not having it.
Yeah,
especially brown and black people, brown and black people, and women in particular. Those are
absolutely.
The most.
Yep. Absolutely. Your inability to please a woman is not her fault, and you're going to be mad at her. And waking up to and listening to what you've been playing and just even thinking about Stephen Miller first thing in the morning just hurts my brain. Is it just weird? Is it just weird? Do you think that at some point in Santa Monica, when he was back in the third grade, he got his ass kicked by a Latino kid? It's been vengeance ever since then.
You probably weren't here for our felching conversation.
I actually was. And you'll note I did.
I can hear you again. Sorry about that. That was weird.
Anyway. No, I heard the conversation and I just said, yeah.
I don't know what happened. Are you there?
Yeah, you're I'm not sure your mic is working right. I can hear you, but you
It just ended. Please stand by. Technical difficulties. The felching conversation kind of changed everything. I don't know what happened.
as it is apt to do.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go without the mic today. I can hear you though.
Okay.
Anyway, but thanks for jumping in, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no worries, pal. Bye.
All right, talk to you later. All right, bye. I don't know what happened, but I can make it work. There's Tony.
Hello?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Well, good morning, my friend.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah. I came up because you were talking about, the mediocre white tea guy in America that has a fascination with dark skin. And it's very interesting to me because, I'm on this app and I'm in Asha's live in particular. And I've seen you come in there a couple times. And the black profile pictures So they come into the app, into a black space with a blackface, and then pretend like they're black. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen, right? And whether you're trolling or whatever you're doing, and then they come in and then they say the N-word. And so I find it interesting that, you've got this swath of young kids that have been red pilled, and they have this animosity towards Latinos and black people, but yet if you got in their car, they're playing rap music.
Sure.
And so it's just I don't know where they're like. I mean, I do know where. I shouldn't even say that. I don't know where. It's just it's really sad. And the fact that they are allowing someone like Stephen Miller and believing the propaganda that he spits out across this United States when he's completely mediocre, because he would never be. I mean, in my mind, I don't care where you're at or what you're doing or what president has got you under his belt. You're nothing, dude. You have nothing. And
Correct.
so, and at the end of the day, you're going to go down to history as you're not going to be looked on favorably at all. And so,
no, you're absolutely right, and that's always the part for me that I kind of I don't live a life full of regrets. There's not many things that I've done in my life that I regret. Like would I've made a left turn at that job opportunity instead of the right turn, things like that. But I don't really live with regret. Your choices are your choices. But I can only imagine what it's going to be like in 10 years' time. I've talked about this before, where the person who's got every possible red hat or pterodactyl Trump or flag, and then they're going to put them up in their attic, and then when their grandchildren find them someday, how are they going to explain that? Will they have any regret? And
exactly.
I don't know if they will. Quite frankly, I don't know if they will. And they're the ones that have caused a divide in our country. They're the ones that are promoting anger and violence. They're the ones that want to blow up the democratic institution, small d. They're the ones that want to reshape our democracy to make it a an authoritarian state, a fascist regime, a monarchy. They're the ones to blame. They are the ones. It's not people on the left fighting for healthcare. It's not women trying to just fight for the rights of their fucking body. It's not members of your community trying to say, hello, we've been saying this for fucking ever.
Exactly.
Right?
And I'll end with this. It's just like, and I knew when this presidency came into play, a lot of people were going to be feeling a certain way. And Black Americans are like, we told you. Like, we've been feeling this for so damn long. This energy that now people who I heard this lady yesterday in a live, and she was like, oh, I regret my vote. And she's like, and the reason why was because Apple was going to open a factory somewhere and her electric bill was going to go up. And I said to her, I'm like, is that why it took electric bill going up? Not all the other shit that's happening? And she was like, why was Kamala so bad? Because then what I said to her is we saw this coming. It's like you guys were standing on the railroad tracks and it was far away and there's two sets of tracks. And you were saying, nah, it's on the other track. Not on the tracks. It's not on this track. I'll stay here. And then as it got closer, it was too late and he hit you. So anyways, man, I appreciate you running the good fight, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, buddy. Take care. See you later. He's right. He's right. That's exactly the point. Where we're always trying to find the line. I don't think there is one. I just think even they'll complain today about their electric bill, and then Trump will say something hateful towards a marginalized community tomorrow, and they'll jump on board again because they're basically fucking racist bigots. Plain and simple. Anything that they can get to justify their anger. So when Donald Trump, again, talk about from a politics perspective, absolutely what he did on Truth Social by trying to call out Democrats for what he claimed to be seditious. That's entirely there to try to distract people away from the Epstein files. Plain and simple, right? But he knows the economy's in this shitter, so he's got to remind people. His polling average is at 37%. It's the lowest it's ever been for him. But he's going to go out and tell people that it's fine. Okay, this is Kevin Hassett talking about it, going on the shows over the weekend to try to explain to people that it's not so. Just listen to this fucking nonsense. This is crazy.
Inflation is such a terrible thing, and it was such a powerful political influence. I'm sure that inflation is one of the main reasons why Trump won in a landslide.
Right, but the prices are up more than 2 percentage points from last September compared to September 2024 compared to today. And yesterday morning, President Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "I have just gotten the highest poll numbers of my political career. While my great work on the economy has not yet been fully appreciated, it will be. Things are really rocking." I don't know what poll numbers he's referring to, because CBS News YouGov poll has 75% saying the president's not focused enough on lowering prices. Fox poll, Trump's lowest economic approval rating of his second term, just 38%, a plurality, saying he's actually making things worse. Vice President Harris writes in her book about President Biden, the top Biden aide, quote, Mike Donilon, would filter the data from the polls and present the numbers in soothing terms, unquote. Is that happening with President Trump too? Is he only getting the most positively skewed polling information?
Well, Jake, as you know, I'm not the poll expert, but the people that are briefing the president all the time. And the bottom line is that if you look at where the economy is moving, that there have been a lot of positive movements. And so you mentioned the prices. You keep going back to Joe Biden's higher prices of the fall, but real wages this year up about $1,200 so far this year because of all.
Do you get the fucking gaslight? It doesn't matter. And that was from 2 months ago, and it's gotten worse now. I mean, do you get the fucking gaslight? This is what I'm saying. MAGA's fake news. Why would we not get the unemployment numbers, or I should say the inflation numbers from October? The reason we haven't got them yet is because of how bad they are. What about Biden? Thank you, Warner. That's why we haven't gotten them yet. You guys live in this world of fake news. You can go to the store, you can pay more for your goods, and you're going to say your prices are down. You live in a world of fake news. You are the fake news. Scott Bessent trying to do some reputational. This one's even more wild. And this is nuts. This is Scott Bessent's answer for inflation.
The Council on Economic Advisors has a study. You know the best.
Hold on. Play this again.
The Council on Economic Advisors has a study. You know the best way to bring your inflation rate down? Move from a blue state to a red state. Blue state inflation is 0.5% higher. And that is because they don't deregulate. They keep prices up. Energy is higher.
Just according to the consumer prices, inflation was at 2.3% back in April. In September, 3%. But let me ask you about tariffs, because there's this big announcement on tariffs.
Cool. That was cool. Can you imagine that? Your answer is leave the blue state, which, by the way, the blue states in our country are the economic engine. Blue states right now. If blue states, when I say the blue states, those that voted for Kamala Harris, right, in 2024, that group of people. If those blue states left and decided to secede, guess what would happen to you, MAGA? We pay for your shit. Can I have my money back, please? Vermont's neutral. Other blue states. That's the fucking answer? That's the answer? This is what I'm talking about. MAGA is fake news. Let's go, Smitty. I'm with you. I am with you, my friend. Let's go. Seriously, there's been talk about this thing called the soft secession. A secession is the only thing that we want to be soft. The reality of this, MAGA being in the fake news, is it doesn't, like, my whole point of this today is it doesn't fucking matter what they say. It doesn't. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter when they talk about crime, because we know the higher rates of crime are in their states. It doesn't matter when they talk about their nuclear family, because divorce rates are higher in red states. It doesn't matter when we talk about maternal mortality or infant mortality. It's always higher in their states. Doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter what they say, because they're going to believe it, because they live in a world of fake news. The acknowledgement, here's the acknowledgement. This is the funny one. Okay. This is hilarious. This is how in MAGA world, let's see if I can find it. Do I have it still? In MAGA world, this is how they want you to acknowledge the fact that prices are up. I'm not sure if you saw this, but this is a guest on one of the morning shows on Fox, and this is her answer to how you fight inflation.
Budget, budget, budget. You need a plan. Also remember, adults don't need gifts, okay? Focus on
adults, don't worry,
who are age 3 to 18. Grandma doesn't need slippers. If they don't live by you, don't get them a gift. Now's not the time to spend and break the bank sending packages across the country, Dana. Focus on the people in your life, ages 3 to 18. That's my 30 seconds for you.
Jade, you're
right? So your adult children, don't buy them any gifts. And you know what, Mastiff Mama? Republicans, conservatives, wait for it, want to cancel Christmas. Here it is again. Budget, budget, budget. So she says, budget, budget, budget.
Remember, adults don't need gifts, okay? Focus on the people in your life who are age 3 to 18. Grandma doesn't need slippers. If they don't live by you, don't get them a gift. Now's not the time to spend and break the bank sending packages across the country, Dana.
Oh, God.
Focus on the people in your life, ages 3 to 18. That's my 30 seconds for you.
Jade, you're
So 3 to 18, which means your toddler and your newborn doesn't get shit. They go without. I just got me some new slippers. Total old man slippers, but they're so cozy, don't judge. Who fucking cares? Like we're not supposed to, we're not supposed to, that's your answer. So move to a red state. Move to a red state and don't buy your family members who are older than 18 any gifts. There. Problem solved. The fuck? The fuck? Thank you, Smitty. I fixed it. We fixed Christmas. To save ourselves some money, don't have to give our family members anything. So all my kids are now over 18. So you guys ain't getting shit. Good morning. How are you today? Not your average indifferent. Hello? Are you there?
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? What's on your mind?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, so I have a quick story. Can you hear me?
I can, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. For some reason, my phone is doing something really weird. But what I was going to say is I have a quick story. So when you were talking about mediocrity, I am 2 generations removed from a relative that was hunted by the KKK. And the reason that they were hunted by the KKK is because they owned the grocery store and they gave credit to white and black people in the time that they lived in Florida. Now, this angered the KKK so much that they decided that they were going to they were going to eliminate my great-grandfather. His name was Julius Ishmael Knight. And what happened was he and the sheriff of the town were the best of friends. Like they grew up together. But the sheriff was a part of the KKK. And so he warned my grandfather, and my grandfather said, he was like, Julius, you've got to get out of town. They're going to kill you. He said, I can't stop them. And he was like, no, let them come.
Hold on a second. You're using a lot of TikTok unfriendly words. So I'm
sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I just got a notification though. I have to drop you. I'm sorry. I don't want the live to come down. My apologies.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I understand.
Okay. Yeah. A couple times is a problem, but multiple times is a bigger issue. So, but I appreciate you wanting to be here and talk about it, but we can't have that conversation sorry. Anyway, you guys get the point. Okay. I'll bring up Sandra. Then I have to wrap in a few minutes anyway, guys. Sandra, how are you today? Sandra, are you there? Sandra? I guess not. One more try. Ooh, haven't had breakfast yet.
I'm up. Oh.
Hi.
Hi. I didn't realize I just came up. Oh my gosh, that was fast. Oh, you had mentioned something. I just want to jump on and say hi. If I don't talk to you, happy Thanksgiving. So
you too.
All that. You were talking about earlier with military and everything. All this is, again, in October isn't just DV awareness. Every day is DV awareness in my world. What we're seeing is classic cluster B, narcissistic, narcopath behavior. What we're seeing is dog whistling. That's what this is. Oh, I know I was going to say. Why in the F are MAGA concerned with how we spend our money or how their constituents spend their money? Like, get out of our bedrooms, get out of our wallets. Like, this is low government. Like, what? Like, wake up. Like, wake up. Like, we're all like over the age of 18. We're all adults. Like,
yeah, but grandma doesn't need slippers.
You know what? My nana, until she was 95 years old, she got Christmas every damn year. Don't tell me.
Of course.
It's you work for that money, you do what you want with it. End of story.
Damn straight.
End of story.
Capitalism, right?
Thanks, Steve. Have a great day. Appreciate you.
You too. Thank you, friend. I love you, friend. See you later. Take care.
Goodbye.
It's true though, right? I mean, that's the argument now. This is just the indicator again because MAGA is fake news. I literally was listening to somebody trying to justify. Let's see if I can remember the conversation. We're talking about the executive order that Trump just put out to roll back the tariffs on coffee, bananas, tropical fruit, things along those lines, because some of those items were the ones we've seen the highest spike in price, right? So someone with a brain, even half a brain, right, would say those items that were tariffed, we're seeing the largest spike in price and cost of some of those items. So the Trump administration recognizes that, rolls back the tariffs on those items in acknowledgement that those tariffs cause those items to go up. In MAGA world, no, that's just the president being so smart, playing 4D chess. What? Huh? What? Okay, sure. Yeah, by the way, everybody, don't go buy your Nana, your Meemaw slippers. Instead, make her the macaroni necklace that everybody made when they were little kids. Maybe Drew didn't, but we did. We made the macaroni necklace. And growing up,
screw you, Grandma.
Growing up Italian, if Mom noticed a macaroni was missing, she'd be like, "What the hell's going on around here? Don't be taking my."
Good morning. Can I point out a quick bit of irony here?
Sure. What
does every visitor who goes to the White House do these days?
Sign in. Have to.
What do they bring
and...
old Pop in there? What do they bring old Pop?
Oh, they bring him something gold, likely these days. A gift, something. Yeah.
So my grandma doesn't need presents, but Grandpa in the Oval Office, he needs a gift.
Is
that how that works?
That's a really good. That's a really good point. Yes, that's a really good point. Yeah.
Sorry, Grandma, you getting coal? Oh no, coal's too expensive. I can't afford coal.
That's true. Yeah, energy costs are way up. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Hey, I know you're rapping, but kind of pursuant to what the conversation was at the beginning, I was watching some old movies last week. Do you remember Harrison Ford movie Clear and Present Danger?
Absolutely.
Tom Clancy book.
Yeah.
It's really, watching it now, it's like somebody showed Trump that movie. Because for the folks who don't know, it's about a president whose billionaire friend is murdered. Turns out that billionaire friend had ties to a cartel that ran DRUGEs. And he orders extrajudicial strikes on the cartels. And then when it becomes politically inconvenient for him, he abandons those troops to their fate. And of course, Harrison Ford is Jack Ryan and steps in and for the rule of law, basically. I mean, he even works at one point with the leader of the cartel because he's like saying, what we're doing is illegal. We can't do this. It's a really fascinating look to look at it now and realize this was how many years ago, and it's like somebody showed him that on Air Force One and he was like, let's do that.
Yeah, it's a really good call out. Willem Dafoe is in that movie, I think, right? And they go in the
you know who I didn't realize is in that movie? Are you a fan of Breaking Bad? Did you watch the Breaking Bad series?
Oh yeah.
Tuco Salamanca? Crazy
Oh,
Tuco.
right. Yeah.
He was the sniper guy, the crazy sniper, the amazing sniper guy. I never put it together, and then I heard him laugh in the movie, and I said, "Wait a minute, it's Tuco."
Yeah,
that guy.
That's a good call out. That's a good call out. Thanks for jumping in today.
But a great watch for anybody who's watching. Hey, man.
Agreed.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you before then, buddy.
Thanks, you too. See you later. Take care. All right, bye. It's a really good point. Somebody pointed this out. Doge is shutting down. So those of you expecting to get your MAGA your Doge check, friends, because MAGA lives in fake news, you're not getting your Doge check. There are people, remember this, there are people who went public on their social media channels bragging about getting their Doge checks. You see, president's looking out for us. Gonna get my Doge check. I'm gonna buy myself a 1-year supply of truck nut polish with my Doge check. And Doge cost us more money than we saved, by the way. The $2,000 rebate checks that you guys think you're gonna get, Republicans in the Senate are like, no fucking way. What about paying down the deficit? You guys live in a series of, you just live in fake news. You just live there. That's all you care about. You just live in fake news. That's it. You are fake news. It's wild. Do one more call, then I'm going to have to wrap. Raymond, how are you today?
Brother, I am so good, man. I'm so glad I stumbled across this channel. Oh my God. Cool. I'm gonna say one quick thing, man, that I think people don't realize about those rollbacks. Those happen to be the items that most people are going to be buying this time of the year anyway.
Yeah, you mean some items that were taken off the tariff list? Or what are you talking about? Like it's items that are on sale? Because that doesn't count, right?
Well, no, not on sale, but because, those are items that were like for Thanksgiving dinners, for Christmas dinners, and
right.
things like that. Yeah, those are items that are going to be purchased the most this time of the year anyway. So it's kind of ironic that those would be the things that he would roll back the tariffs on.
Yeah, that plus, coffee is not necessarily this time of the year, but I get your point.
Yeah, but thanks, man.
It's all about the fake news. It's all about the fake news. Thanks for finding us, Raymond. I appreciate you being here. Have a good day. Be safe out there.
You too.
Take care. It's just like you live in fake news. I saw a lot of you, the chirpers that are in here all the time, and this is what they're saying. Well, that's fake news. We've done the dunking on of the Walmart's Thanksgiving package, right? 25% reduced price, but it's got like 40% fewer items or whatever the number is. Why do you guys just continue to believe this shit? Why don't you just step out of the cave and be like, wait a second. Them damn liberals have been talking about cheaper rent. I guess I can get on board with that. Them damn liberals are talking about cheaper health care. Guess I can get on board with that. Them damn liberals are talking about going after corporations who are ripping people off. I guess I can get on board with that. What was that? What? You mean black and brown people and women get to take advantage of that stuff too? Fuck no, I don't want that. That's what it feels like. It's what it feels like to me. It feels like they recognize that these things would be beneficial to them, but if it's going to benefit women, black and brown people in particular, they're going to be like, nope, not interested. Can't do that. Can't have that happen. Can't talk about equity. I'm fanboying.
Speak on it. Speak on it, Steve. Good morning. How are you?
I am well. Nice to see you. Is your little one home for the week on vacation? That's funny. That's a good tell right there. That's funny. No, you're going to go to school until noon on Thanksgiving Day. Damn you.
No, he's with his dad. He's with his dad for Thanksgiving, and it's so cool because I don't want to put their business out there. But his second little brother was just born like on Saturday, And so so he gets to spend the entire week with the new baby and with his dad and stuff. So it's like super awesome. So have fun, my guy. Have fun.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. Good to see you. What's on your mind today, my friend?
So on my mind here is just the tariffs. Like they are fake news. They're delusional. They're delusional. And the reason why I say they're delusional is because, of course, they don't live in the same reality that we do. Like, Donald Trump will literally set the house on fire, watch it burn, and then at the very last moment, quote unquote, put the fire out. And they'll be like, yeah, Trump's the man. He cares about the American people. And it's like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Like, why? Steve, you had this conversation with someone. It was you. Remember you were talking to a guy in a MAGA live about the tariffs, and he was like, well, Trump is taking the tariffs off of steak and coffee and fruit. And you were like, yeah, but why who put the tariffs there?
Exactly.
And he was like, well, he's like, he couldn't bring himself to say that Trump put the tariffs on these products and caused the inflationary prices. Like, he couldn't bring himself to do it because then he would know that Donald Trump, in fact, does not care about the American people, and he's gaslighting the heck out of them, especially his supporters. Like, what are we doing?
Exactly right. Well, I mean, Erica, the good news is you don't have to worry about buying slippers for grandma this year because that's the way to combat inflation.
Yes. And also you don't need 30 pencils or pens. You just need 3.
Just need 3.
You
totally.
just need 3. But yeah,
you're right though. I mean, I know you see it all the time, and I know you have these economic. By the way, if you guys don't follow Erica, I don't know why. I fanboy every time I see Erica, so she knows that. But that's a different conversation. That's for me. You have these conversations all the time. When presented with just listen, all we want is for people to be objective.
Yes.
That would be great. Like to have a conversation to say, okay, you're a fan of the tariffs. Okay, do you think tariffs are inflationary? Well, not really. Okay, so let's talk about it. These tariffs were put on these items. Those prices went up. He removed the tariff from those items. Those prices went down. Or we'll see if they go down. They likely won't. Wouldn't that track then that the tariffs were inflationary? I'd like people to say, yeah, I guess I can see that, but they just won't do it.
They won't say it.
Won't do it. They
won't say it. And then first things first is that the word tariff was not on the average American's brain or even on the tip of their tongue or whatever until Donald Trump. All right.
That's true.
And now that I would say people have at least a rudimentary understanding of what tariffs are, that we know that they're a tax on imports. All right. And we know that the consumer in the end ends up paying the tax. All right. Why are we okay with double taxing ourselves? Why would we be okay with paying an increased cost? It does not benefit the American people as they think it does because they're not paying down the deficit, which of course will help pay down the debt. They're not doing that. Where is this supposed $17 trillion going, Steve?
I don't know, Erica, but the funny part about this, the $2,000 checks that we're not going to get would literally just be giving us our money back.
Exactly. I'm like, well, you want a rebate? That's what you're getting. You're getting a friggin' rebate, bro.
Here, I'm gonna take your $2,000 and I'm gonna put it in my left hand. I'm gonna give it back to you.
To you with the right. Oh my gosh. That is so emblematic of what I say about Trump all the time. Trump will literally shake your hand with the right and then he'll stab you in the back with the left. And yes, exactly. So where is the money? 17 trillion. I know I believe the other day he said 21 trillion. It's where? Yeah, exactly. He just says numbers. It just says numbers. Okay.
Nothing to see here.
Okay.
Nothing to see here.
But yeah, so Steve, Trump definitely is he's a master gaslighter for real. He should write the book on it. I think he did. It's called The Art of the Deal. And I never ever want to love someone as much as Trump supporters love him. I don't want to be in that kind of delusion ever.
Me neither. Even though I love you, but I'm not like that.
Okay, you can be delusional about me. All right.
Deal.
But
I appreciate you.
Of course.
You.
Thanks, Steve.
Are you going live today?
Yes, I am going live today. I'm going to try out Studio today for my regular live because I'm not sure if you know Olive, but she's awesome. She does this thing in the mornings where she'll go like MAGA hunting since they won't come to her live. So Hector tried it out yesterday evening, and I tried it out late night using Studio to like screen share the MAGA live in my live, and then went like talking to them and stuff like that. And bruh, it was fun. It was fun because they won't come
to have great conversations anyway. We've learned that.
I know.
I appreciate you. If I don't talk to you before, Erica's right. You know, it's just this exercise in the gaslight, because MAGA is fake news. They don't stand for anything. We had a conversation. I think I was on with Ethan for a little while on Saturday, and I asked someone who tried to change the conversation to say, well, what do you stand for? And they're like, well, what do you mean what I stand for? They stand for the truth. That's what their answer was. I stand for the truth. What the fuck does that mean? What does that even mean? You stand for the truth? Anywho, I have to wrap there, friends. A couple things I got to do with capitalism. Thank you all for being here today. I'll talk to the mods. I don't know about the schedule this week. I'm not sure if folks are traveling, but I'm planning on being live at least Monday through Wednesday. I'm flying solo on Thursday, which will be awesome. I get to watch football and eat Chinese food. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I love you guys very, very much. Mods, you guys are the best. We're going to go raid Danny. Danny is live right now. Please go tell her we said hello. Remember, MAGA is fake news. You do not need to engage with them. You do not. If you want to have a conversation with somebody, that's fine. Go ahead. But the truth is going to be on your side, no matter what. Trust your gut. Trust your instincts. Trust the people that are around you that you trust. Right. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Friends, be safe out there. And as always,